It's my duty to please the booty.
And Muzz got mad at me, the coach said, he goes, Jesus Christ, why don't you just wear 2 nines? And I went, okay.
I'll switch the call.
Please never do that.
Yep. So.
Hello, everybody. Whitney here. I'm back with Biz for episode 514 of Spittin Chiclets on a beautiful Monday in July as we sit here and record. Biz, how goes it, buddy? I mean, we got some questions, or I got some questions for you after some amazing social media posts. You just carving it up. You just ripping up that lake on what is that? What is that? Windsurfing?
No, that is wake surfing.
Oh,
I said wakeboarding when I said wakeboarding when we hopped on here, and I didn't even know what activity I was doing. Fish had to correct me. It's wake surfing because your boots, you're not strapped in. But that was my first experience. So I think the last time I checked in, I was just about to leave Calgary after Stampede. So I came right back down to Jackson Hole, which is one of my favorite places on earth. It's magical.
The video you sent of the, and I think it was on Twitter, of the mountains.
Yes,
and
those are the Tetons, the Grand Tetons, les Tetons, les Grands Tetons.
The Tetons get me going. It's usually.
I think the French discovered them and they called them the Big Tits because it's 2 big mountains that have been carved out over time by glaciers. And it's actually the most photographed mountain range in the world, according to my sources.
That's going to be fact checked. That might be one of the best Biz facts I've ever heard.
If I'm not mistaken, the Grand Tetons are the most photographed mountain range in the world. One of the most prestigious mountain ranges there are. So that was actually Jackson Lake, and it's inside the park. So when I knew that they had a lake, I didn't realize that you could take your own personal boat on it. I thought it was protected to the point where maybe if you wanted to go do like a kayak or something non-motorized, but no, there's like a certain dock, like kind of right at the tip of it, closer to town, where it's more for like the tourists where you can rent boats. And then there was a drop in about halfway up where it's like mostly just like locals and people who have like there's no docks there. They just have like a buoy. So you got to like swim back to shore.
So there's no harbor with like boats at like a dock and like a wharf. Like
okay, so we already got a fact check from Grinnell here. He says the most photographed of the mountain range in Switzerland. I am no. I am competing against this. We're not taking his word as gospel. That is Google. That's probably Wikipedia or some bullshit.
Oh yeah, what does Google know?
So anyway, we go out there, and this is after like July 4th weekend. So I want to say it was like the 8th or 9th. There was one other sailboat on the water, and then just us. There was nobody on the lake, bud, because I think like most of the tourists hang out at the tourist spot where you join in the lake. But we had this big juicy part that was like where it was the deepest, where you have that in the background. You have the Grand Tetons as you're wake surfing, and it's like the water was glass. So I was learning all these new terms. They call it glass when there's absolutely no waves, because there's a lot of wind that happens here, and it comes off these mountain ranges. So sometimes you can get like 4-foot waves in this lake where it's not the easiest to wake surf, but it was glass that day. There wasn't even a wrinkle in the water, and it was beautiful.
So is this like clear water? Can you see to the bottom, or what's the vibe of the water on this magical lake?
No, you probably about like 3 feet deep, and then all of a sudden it gets pretty dark. But it was a fun experience. Well, maybe not so fun to begin with. So, have you ever wake surfed before?
No, but I had no idea your feet weren't locked in. So now to me, it's way more impressive you did that. Those dummies at Pardon My Take tried doing it at Lake Tahoe, and they couldn't get up.
Okay, so that that was my problem initially, was getting up. So there was 5 of us in the boat, so everybody gets their turn to go, right? So they get up, they start riding it. Like all of them are experienced and have done it before, so they're just kind of zipping back and forth. And as each person's going, I'm not only watching, but they're kind of like verbally teaching me what I need to do. And so the explanation is you put your heels basically on the end of the board and make sure they're wide enough so you have a good base. And the minute the boat starts going, the wake will essentially push the board into you. So you just got to push with your heels, and then kind of that momentum will just bring you up. Well, I just thought you kind of had to stay stagnant. It would do it for you. So basically, like, you would just go whoop, and you'd come up. But me being, very persistent and wanting to do it, I kept holding on and I couldn't come up. So I was just eating the water in my snout for, 20 seconds, and then I'd let go. And they'd
How
be
many
all
times before you got up? How many tries?
Bro, probably about 6 or 7. Then I'm like, all right, I'm done. And then I got in the boat. Then everybody else went and did their round. And then I'm like, okay, I watched them again.
Yeah.
I listened more for lessons, got back in the water 7, 8 more times, just eating this fucking ocean water or
must
lake
have
water.
felt like a
Lake
pigeon
water right
crossed.
up my snout. I felt like the biggest unathletic loser. And then Kate, she owned the boat. She was just carving it. She had this little mini board, like it was basically the size of like like what do you call this? A skateboard.
Skateboard?
Yeah, it was like a skateboard. So she had the nice one. I had the easy one. So finally, I was done, and I was tired from all the partying at Stampede. And this was just on Tuesday when I got back. So I was going to shut it down. They were all like, "No, you're trying one more time." And I think just from the pure frustration of not being able to get it, I kind of just made like an athletic jolt as soon as the boat started, and boom, I got up for the first time, but fell right away. But in the midst of my 4th cycle, about on the 3rd or 4th try, I finally got it, and I was so relieved. Not only just finally getting to feel like an athlete again, but you don't want to go to the lake the whole day to wake surf for 5-6 hours and you don't even end up getting on the board. So unbelievable experience, cool video that they ended up capturing of it with the Tetons in the back, and just an incredible lake day. And that was just kind of the start of the trip back to Jackson Witt. I had a full week here, felt like I was here a month. I got to go golfing a few times. I went to this 3 Creek place. So they got
The
about
golf out
4
there is amazing, I've been told.
It's unreal, and the ball just flies too. So it goes an extra, it feels like 20, 30 yards off the tee just because of the altitude here. So I had the ability with, we had 2 foursomes at this place called 3 Creek, and it's just one of these communities where it's kind of like a Geyser, where everything is like what was the name of that they do at Geyser, the whole company? The
Like
Discovery Properties. Yeah. So they have a Shooting Star here. They have 3 Creek, and then they have that Snake River Sporting Club that Brooks Orpik's a member at. So not only did I get to go to 3 Creek with a couple young hockey players, one kid was a lacrosse player. He's actually going to Princeton. I wrote down the names here to give him a little shout out. It was Carter and Johnson, or Bryson Carter Johnson. And Carter's the one, he's going to Princeton. He's playing net for lacrosse. And then the other kid, Hayes Milham, he's the best high school golfer to ever come out of Jackson. He's not going to play at college for the Division I team at University of Michigan, but he might play for the club team and just kind of enjoy it. And then who knows, maybe eventually ends up getting on the team. So
Or maybe he walks on at one point. Maybe he tries walking on the team at one point.
That's what I told him. I said, go have fun at your first year of university. Like, obviously, I would assume that at University of Michigan, they're taking trips with these guys. And they're even during like the winter months. So he's going to take some time off. But I told him, hey, take your first year, enjoy it, play a little club at the end of the first school year, and you never know. Maybe you end up getting on the team and end up getting a full ride out of it. Who knows? And then, as I said, I went to that Snake River to golf with Brooks Orpik, and that was a blast. Great seeing him.
How's he doing?
He's doing awesome, dude. He's working with the Caps. He loves them. He says it's a super chill organization. Everyone works really well together. Ownership is incredible. And hey, I mean, I was talking to them. They made a lot of fun moves.
The Caps, we didn't give them enough. We've been down on the Caps all year as like the miracle playoff team. They did a pretty big restructuring of their team going into next season. I'm a little excited, actually. Maybe we didn't give them enough love because they made a bunch of moves. So I'm happy Orp's there, because even playing with him, I'm like, this is a guy who can be a part of like building a championship team when he's done playing. Whether his role is front office or working with prospects, it's like he's the perfect guy for what he's doing.
Yeah, I think when he first started, he wanted to dip his toe in and not go as hard, but just given like how talented he is and how good of a communicator and wanting to have him around because he's a champion and a good dude, I think that they've been pressing him to work a little bit more and more. He'd actually just gotten back from Chicago. I don't know if they went there for like a little mini tournament or whatever they're doing with all these new draft picks. So I think he has a he's he's very hands on with all the young guys coming up. I even asked him about Leonard, and I was like, hey, do you think they're going to pressure him into leaving school early? He's like, nah, I think he's going to keep his foot down and be persistent about going back to school for that extra year. But so it was great. I don't know if you've ever heard of this sporting club. It's not just golf, so it's one of those same type of communities. But they have like a gun range there. You can go like keep your horses there. So like if you have kids and they ride horses, boom, they'll put the saddles on. You go down, boom, they're ready to get taught and ride wherever. It's right on the Snake River, so they have all the fly fishing gear. That was the one thing I didn't get to do this trip was fly fish, and I'd never tried it. So that's on the bucket list for the next time I'm back. But Whit, I've fallen in love with Jackson. I'm going to build a barn on my property here, and I'm going to spend a lot more time here moving forward. Every time I come, I stay a little bit longer, and the people in the community and everybody are just awesome. So I actually spent the night last night at my neighbor's place up where my lot is, and he's got a pretty cool shack up here. He built it with his own hands. 10,000 square foot barn.
Just him?
Well, like he like outsourced some of the stuff, but he had a hand in all of it. It's crazy how much money he saved doing it on his own too. Because
I can't even put together the Lego set we got, Wyatt. And this guy's building 10,000 square foot. But Biz, I have a couple questions. But first, I do have to mention that this show and this episode is brought to you by New Amsterdam's own Pink Whitney. It's been flowing. Went down to a bar in Nantucket called the Slip. Great little spot right on the harbor. Boom, front and center, a monster bottle of Pink Whitney with just a tiny bit left. Guy said people are coming in there ripping the shots. I had to do one. I appreciate all the support from the people in Nantucket at the Slip drinking it, people on the lakes in Jackson drinking it, people down on the beach in Florida drinking it, although Panthers fans really can't stand our podcast. But we love your Panthers, your Stanley Cup champions. But the big bottle is what I want to talk about. It's always what I bring up, the 1.75 liter, the Big Daddy. That is what Pink Whitney's all about, having enough for everyone. And it's summertime. It's on the golf course. It's on the beach. I've mentioned that before. But shout out New Amsterdam. Shout out Pink Whitney. And to wrap up your little Jackson trip, two things. I guess one would be picturing those people on the back of the boat as you failed and failed and failed. Like somebody had to say quietly, like, this dude did not play in the NHL. Like this looks like RA trying to get up on one of these things.
But I think that they were impressed because I wouldn't let go of the rope. My forearms, I honestly thought I felt like I hit the rice bucket for 14 hours straight. That's how sore my forearms were because I kept hanging on because I thought that it would eventually pull me up. And for 20 straight seconds, every time I'd just be getting that lake water up my snout. So it was...
last question is the picture you posted, amazing video of the Tetons, amazing video of you surfing. The other picture, why are you rubbing that woman's feet? I'm so confused by that. It was like, I'm like, who is this woman? And he's rubbing her feet.
That was Kate. She owned the boat. I decided to give her a little foot rub as repayment for me mucking all the water. Repayment for me stealing half of the lake up my nose.
She's like, this guy can't get up on the surfboard, and he's the worst foot massage person of all time. What an amazing afternoon.
I'm like, hey, I practice Thai massage. I was wondering if I could dabble with a little bit of reflexology here, ma'am. Get off my boat.
She's like, you're like, can you walk on my back and then slap me so it sounds like I'm banging, but I'm not because we don't do that at Thai massage. But I did a little outdoor activity. I went with Ryder. We got I don't know if I told you this, we got the paddle board. And it was awesome. I actually like paddleboarding. I've done it before, going around the harbor. Great little workout for the core. He's standing up, so we had a blast. And then Wyatt wanted to do it, so we went back with Ryder and Wyatt, but it was so windy that I was like, boys, it was blowing 30. 20 with gusts to 30. And I'm like, we'll just get this little kayak, a little two-seater, but Wyatt sat on my lap. So, buddy, we get in this thing, and boom, the wind takes me right out. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And I'm like, this is like, I can't really move this thing. Like, I'm struggling. I had to like basically get it over to the rocks, like the big jetty. And then I somehow got it back to the beach, and I had to walk it in, dude. I had to walk this thing in. And the guys at the thing that they rented it, they're like, buddy, I'm like, how are you guys doing this into the wind? They're like, we told you it'd be kind of hard, but we thought you'd be able to do it. So pathetic look for me. You know, your two kids are looking for inspiration from their dad, and I'm pushing this kayak and dragging it along the sand. So that was kind of a depressing, like, physical.
So it seems as if though the Chiclets boys should stick away from the water sports. We should maybe
I think
not.
we have to stick away from everything. I mean, you're talking building houses, water sports. I can't do anything. So yeah, it's been a tough day water sport wise. I'm more kind of sit on the beach with some pink Whitney and then watch the kids build sandcastles and then cry when the water comes in and wrecks it and then punch each other. And you know that whole scene at the beach. But I mean, hockey wise, in terms of what we have for you this episode, we did an amazing interview with Clint Malarchuk. That'll be a part of this show. He is a guy, if you don't know who he is, he actually had his jugular sliced. He was a goalie. And it was, I want to say, mid-'80s, Biz. We got to get the exact year. But we sat down with him in Vegas, and his life story and what this guy's gone through, what he's doing now, how he's helping others. It is an incredible, incredible interview. There are definitely some pretty dark, sad moments of the interview. But I would say at the end, you're going to leave very kind of appreciative of what this guy's gone through and what he's doing with his life now. So I hope you guys all enjoy that. RA's voice is a disgrace in it. Let's just get that out of the way now. So maybe a little frustrating, but I think Biz and I did most of the commenting. And right after this, 1989. I'm sorry, G just let us know. 1989 is when this happened. So an incredible interview coming up. And then right after this, we're going to interview Zeev Buium, the superstar from Denver, who was just drafted first round by Billy Guerin in the Minnesota Wild. So we haven't even done that yet, but what a story this kid has. So we got both of those interviews coming up. Other than that, I read the article today in the Players Tribune that Steven Stamkos wrote saying goodbye to Tampa. I can't recommend it enough. It's free. You can go online. It's kind of all over the internet right now. It is amazing. He's talking about when he got there and the billboards that said "Seen Stamkos?" and all the excitement and the buildup and what he learned from the leaders. And then I didn't even understand that when he came back and played that 1-game-3 against Dallas in the COVID bubble cup year, their first Stanley Cup, he scored that beautiful goal, I think on his first shift, maybe his first or second shift.
I think he only played a couple shifts in that game,
He played one shift after that, but what happened was he was dealing with a brutal abdominal injury that he knew he'd had to get surgery for. They're rehabbing it. He can't do much, and he goes out. He's like, I thought I'd be able to go. And right as he stepped around Lindell, incredible goal, he just felt the whole thing tear off. He felt it just whatever, a pop, a burn. He's like, I just felt it go. I knew I was done. And I just ripped this thing on net. And as I look up, like, boom, it's going shelf. And the excitement just, I was overtaken. The way he writes it, or I did a Players Tribune writer. I didn't write it. I don't think Stammer wrote it either. But the way they word it with the ghostwriter, it's awesome. And he's just like the excitement. And I was so overwhelmed. And then I realized I went back to the bench and I knew that was it. But he talks about that wasn't his idea of winning the cup. Like, it was incredible. And when he raised it, it didn't matter. But the next year against Montreal in a full barn in Tampa, like, just to be able to get both of those. And he goes in a lot about his injuries and what he went through with all the stuff. It's an incredible article. He says it was heartbreaking what happened in leaving Tampa, but he's so excited for Nashville. I just recommend anyone for reading it. I saw a lot of comments, like, it's a little teary on a Monday morning right now as I read this article. So really cool story if you want to check that one out. Did Celebrini already turn pro when we did last week's episode, G? I think that was since then, right?
He did, yes.
Okay, so Celebrini's gone. That really stinks, but I can't wait to see what he does in the NHL. I didn't know if you had anything else, Biz, NHL-wise.
No, it just goes back to you mentioned Zeev Buium coming on. I mean, I wasn't necessarily that aware of his game before you kept pumping his tires. I mean, you and G have covered a lot of the college hockey this year, going back to obviously him making his mark in his first year as a freshman with Denver. And then also going to the World Juniors. This guy scored I think he had the game-winning goal in the gold medal game. So what a year this kid ended up having. And we talked about how we'd spoken to a lot of people saying this is one of the sneakiest, deepest drafts the NHL has ever had, to the point where people think that this Zeev Buium's a generational defenseman, and he ends up going 12th overall. I mean, Billy Guerin and the Minnesota Wild, I want to say they had the 13th pick and then moved up to 12 just to solidify that they ended up getting him. And you almost wonder, like, with Billy G being in Minnesota for the Frozen Four and getting to watch him firsthand, how much that had to do with him making that pick. Because in those two games, he was everything as you guys described and more. I mean, his offensive ability is one thing, but I've read articles in preparation to interview him, the work that he's put on the defensive side of his game. So he reached 50 points this year as a freshman defenseman. I think it's only 4 times in the history of the NCAA that it's even been done. 39 assists, 11 goals. So this kid came in with the mentality, yeah, I got that offensive puck moving ability, but I'm going to turn into a shutdown defenseman as well. And when we went to that tourney in those 2 games, he was closing on guys and taking away time and space. So good one-on-one, incredible gap. So it just speaks volumes to this kid's work ethic, and also the story in which how his family came over here as immigrants. And all 3 of his brothers ended up getting into hockey. His older brother, I believe, was drafted 2nd round by the Detroit Red Wings a few years back, and he also played at Denver as well. So really excited to get him on and for you guys to hear that. And there's a new wave, and these players are getting bigger, better, stronger, and faster at a younger age. And I'm just so excited for the next 5 to 10 years in the NHL, because I think it's going to be on a heater. But only other hockey news as far as NHL is concerned. Ryan Suter, who got bought out by Dallas, ends up signing a little $750 deal, $750 or $800 it was, with the St. Louis Blues. Now, I think he's a 5 or 6 guy now at best. Obviously, he's slowed down, but Jesus Christ, Whit, if he ends up playing a full season, he's going to hit over 1,500 games. I don't know how many players in the history of the NHL played 1,500 games, but it's a short list. I would say no more than 30 players. So talk about the longevity and I guess reaching the expectations of ever since he was coming up as an American defenseman and getting drafted in the 1st round by Nashville, and then having the career that he ended up having. So a good depth signing, and really interested to see what St. Louis does this year coming up. I still don't think they're a playoff team, but we'll see if some of these younger players can come into their own and they can fill out the rest of that lineup.
Well, in terms of St. Louis Blues news, Merles, he did a gin tasting. A big gin tasting thing with Alexander Steen over in Sweden. So, I mean, imagine Steen, he's trying to become a GM, which he'll take over in a couple years and figure out a way to make the Blues champions again. And his toughest task is babysitting Merles during a gin tasting event over in Sweden. So I wonder how that goes. And Fish just said only 21 players have played in over 1,500 games. Of those, 15 have been inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame, and 4 more are not yet eligible for induction. So I don't know. I don't really think of Ryan Suter as a Hall of Famer, but I do remember the 2003 World Juniors when it was 80. Like, I'm an 83. It was 83s and 84s, but Suter was an 85, and he was probably the best defenseman on the team. I'm like, this guy's different. So drafted very high, and just the career he's had has been amazing. So congrats to him on staying in the NHL one more year. I think now we kick it over to Zeev Buium, no?
Fucking rights. Let's do it.
All right. What up, guys? Before we continue, it's time to talk Peter Millar. It's midsummer, it's golf season, and I need to tell you about my new favorite shorts from Peter Millar, the Bingham Performance Short. With the temperatures as high as they are, it's hot everywhere. These shorts are my go-to every single day I'm on the golf course, and even sometimes when I'm not. They're made from a high-performance Italian fabric that features an unbelievable amount of stretch and even features a zipper security pocket so you can safely stash your essentials. If you got some favorite ball markers you want to use, you don't want to lose, maybe your credit card wallet, boom, now you got the zipper on there. You know that's not going anywhere, falling out in the golf cart. They're made by Peter Millar, so of course they're perfect on the course, but they've also shined as everyday casual shorts ready for anything this summer brings. That's what I'm talking about. You can go to dinner in these. You can go hang out with your buddies. You can play golf. It doesn't matter. You can do everything in the new Bingham shorts. So head on over to petermillar.com/chiclets and check out the Bingham Performance Short, as well as the rest of Peter Millar's luxury level crown crafted lineup. We are now pleased to be joined by one of the best prospects in the game of hockey, a World Junior gold medalist, an NCAA champion, and a really, really special player out of California and Denver. 12th overall pick in this year's NHL draft to the Minnesota Wild. Zeev Buium, thank you so much for joining the show, buddy. How you doing?
I'm great. Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a pretty good introduction.
Where are you at now?
I'm just at home right now. Yeah.
In Cali?
Yeah. I was at, Minnesota's dev camp goes it's not right after the draft. You have like a week at home, and then so I went from Minnesota right to here.
That's kind of nice. After the Vegas trip, not having to go play.
Yeah, it's super nice. Yeah, and I got to enjoy the 4th year, so it's good.
I actually met your whole family when I was in Vegas. They were walking around the casino, and I must have bumped into them 6 times. I don't think I saw you once. I just saw the whole rat pack of all 80 of them who came up to the draft.
Yeah, they were all telling me. I think we were on the phone actually, me and you, Biz. I don't know if you remember that.
He doesn't remember anything.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if you were following social media. It was a long month for the Chiclets guys, so there's a little bit lost in memory here. But
wait
I
a
do
minute,
remember your
I'm
brother
having a
handing me-
flashback, Biz. Did I meet one of your buddies and like leave you a voicemail?
Yeah, there's a video. He's got a video. I gotta send you it after, but there's like a video of. It's actually pretty funny. It's a video of like you and him.
Zeev, I'm with your boy. Steal the draft right now. Oh, you're Reese?
Yeah, I'm Reese.
He's a pigeon, but I love your game. I love your game.
And it looks like you don't even like believe him. Like he's saying he's like my best buddy, and then you like called him a pigeon and walked away. And then
Oh, that sounds like wit.
so,
That
and
sounds
then-
Oh, I
like
just
wit.
remembered. I'm like, I think a guy came up to me late night. He's like, I'm Zeev Buium's friend. I'm like, all right, fuck yeah, let's make him a video.
and then he wanted a photo with you. So he tried to take like a selfie, and then Keith Yandel apparently like, walked over. It's the funniest photo. It's like he's like, it looks like he's taking a photo of you guys, but he's just taking a photo of like half his face.
Oh, jeez. But I mean, quite the whirlwind. The first time I got to see you play live, we went to the Frozen Four, an incredible showing. So congratulations on a national championship. Before that, it was the World Juniors. So, I mean, probably a pretty overwhelming season for you then to have it capped off with Minnesota jumping up in the draft at 12 to select you. And as you said, probably the greatest moment of your life.
Yeah, it was. It's insane. I think a lot of people kind of like forget, but like even the end of my U18 year NCDP, we won the U18 World Championship. So it's like the whole like 14, 15 month span of us just just with that and World Juniors and National Championship, it's like probably couldn't have written up any better. But yeah, it's been a whirlwind. It's still really hard to like kind of just wrap your head around everything and try to understand like kind of how special all those moments are. So you try to stay in the moment and do what you need to do to move on to next year and what you're gonna do this summer. But just trying to enjoy it as much as I can.
So I was talking to a lot of people before, and I haven't seen a ton of college hockey this season, but watched you play in World Juniors as well, and I just couldn't get over like that you weren't more talked about as a top 5 pick, and I was like, I don't really get it. And then the draft's going on, and I'm just wondering, like, are you sitting there? Did you have any idea? I mean, obviously Minnesota hopped up, but were there any other spots you're like, oh, this might be me? Like, what were the nerves like that night? And for Biz and I have been drafted. That experience was sick. Like that whole like vibe and situation at the Sphere made it even more special. But I'm just wondering, as you're sitting there with your family, like, what were you thinking going into the night and how it all played out?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, the biggest thing is like no one really knew where I'd kind of end up. Like I didn't know, it was kind of just like a big toss. But I think, the players anywhere from 2 through 12, everyone knew Mac was going 1, but like after that, no one really knew who was going to go. You had like a feeling of where you might go, but talking to guys like after, it was almost like it sounded just like a toss up from 2 to 15 or whatever. So, I mean, for me, it was just like, I didn't have like an expectation. I didn't want to kind of go in and be like, oh, this is where I want to go. And if I don't go here, I'm going to be upset. Like,
Yeah.
I just got drafted in the first round. If you told me that was going to happen, when I first started playing hockey, it'd be like, we didn't even know what the NHL was. So for me, it was just trying to enjoy it like as much as I can. And, with my family, have fun with it. So I never, had a moment where I was upset or down or anything. I mean, for me, it's, I landed where I think I needed to go. And, it's my job now to do the best I can with it. So to have my parents there and obviously my brothers and all my family members, maybe like 85 people there. So
What?
it was super special,
Oh, yeah.
not just me, but all of them.
They couldn't
Yeah.
even get fans in the building yet as all his family and friends there. I read in one of the articles that when Minnesota moved up to 12, that you had an inkling that it was going to be you being selected. Now, was that based off of maybe prior communication with Billy Guerin and sitting down with him and them in like a prior meeting? Because sometimes I know that guys do go to meetings for teams before the draft. I always joke around about the Dion Phaneuf situation where he was getting grilled by the San Jose Sharks. Did you have any interesting meetings, and did Minnesota really pop out, and that's why you thought you were going to go there?
I mean, my draft process honestly was like, it went really smooth. I didn't have any extra meetings. I went to the combine, obviously just did the normal meetings I had. I had like 20 meetings or something, and like no dinners. I didn't have dinners at the draft. Like didn't have anything extra. But like for me, I felt good with everything. Like every team I talked to, kind of came out of the room feeling really good. And then throughout the year, like didn't talk to a certain team like a crazy amount. Like I talked to Minnesota, once early in the year, I think once midway through, and then obviously at the end of the combine. But I mean, I felt really good with them. They almost kind of gave me like a vibe where it was like they didn't know if I was going to be there, so they didn't like. I don't know like really how to explain it, but I guess the biggest thing was like I didn't have any crazy talks with anybody or anything, and I think for me, like when I got to that spot and I saw them trade up, I was like, I just had a feeling like it could be me in a way where it was like, who else like, could it be? And then at the same time, like I felt really good, with all the talks I had with them. So yeah, I just had a good feeling it could be me.
I ended up saying it right away, and we went into this as we introed you about just the fact of how you played in the Frozen Four and it being in Minnesota, and Garen's there as a BC alum and what you did, and that made kind of sense to me. Like he just saw this in person, and I want to go into that Frozen Four because it was incredible hockey, and I think your goaltender probably put on, I think I said on Chiclets, one of the greatest maybe 2-week, 3-week performances I've ever seen a goalie go on. Like, and an amazing interview after. And I just want to go through like him coming back from injury and what he started doing. Like how amazing was that to be on a team where a goalie is just like carrying you guys through to a national title? I
think it was huge. I mean, obviously, like you said, he was injured, kind of early on in the year, missed a good chunk of the year. And we struggled a lot during that time. We were, I don't know, 4th and 5th in the conference, 9th in the pairwise or something like that. Like something that we didn't want to be in. We wanted to be higher up. Obviously, the standard for us wasn't good enough where, we kind of knew we were struggling, and he kind of came back and he just like had this mentality that he was just going to take it over. So, going to the Frozen Four, we were confident in our team, like confident in him, confident in each other. But I don't think any of us really expected him to do what he did. So he was incredible. He's so dialed. Like he's one of the most dialed guys I know. He's unbelievable in the locker room. Just a great human as well. So he works his tail off. So everyone knew he was going to be prepared and ready for it. But I think after the first game, after that UMass game, double overtime, and he started cramping in net. I don't know if anybody knows that, but he was cramping in net, and we were going on a penalty kill, and he's cramping in the net. I'm like sitting there like, oh my God, like there's no way we're about to lose, Davis. So, he stuck it out. He played through it. I think it just kind of grew his confidence even more to go through the other games. So I think without him, I think the outcomes could have been different. Some of the saves he made. There was a play where I think it was the Cornell game. I was looking up at the clock with like 2 seconds left in the game. Puck goes right by him. He backdoor a guy one times and he makes a save. I'm like, I love this guy. Like, so
getting your draft stock bumped up.
Shy's yelling at me after things. What are you doing? Like, why are you looking at the clock? And I'm like, I thought the game was over.
That must have been awesome getting to play with your brother too. And I just want to go over this stat quickly. I think I messed it up on the pod. You're actually only the third rookie D-man to ever do it, hit the 50-point mark, and you're the first DU freshman to reach that mark in 40 years. So just an incredible first year. Obviously, having your brother there was probably nice for that transition and get there and to feel comfortable right away. But one other thing that David Carl mentioned was not only your offensive ability, but when you got there, how bad you wanted to continue to grow your defensive game, like your gaps, stick on puck, how well you're closing and taking away lanes off guys. So just talk about maybe your mindset going into your freshman year and how you wanted to attack it, and obviously exceeding probably every single expectation that they had of you.
For me, the biggest thing was like, I've always had like an offensive, mind and like wanted to play the game that way. And, I feel like at the NTDP, I got some opportunity, but wasn't, almost didn't get the best out of me in a way. And going to like Denver, I knew that, they had a lot of belief and confidence in me. And I had a lot of belief and confidence in myself that I can, play this way and create those kinds of plays. So that was a big thing for me. And I think, the other thing was I don't just want to be a guy that's, playing power play and he can only be one dimensional, and especially as a defenseman. So, you can't win that way with those kind of D. Like if I'm a guy that's going out there playing 25, 30 minutes a night and I can't defend, how are we supposed to win a hockey game? So I think I took that really seriously. And, throughout the year, it just kind of grew more and more and more with the more responsibilities I had on the ice. So, the offense kind of for me, I feel like has always been there. And this year was kind of just the breakout year to show that I can do it. And defensively, it was just how do I stay consistent and how do I, take my game to the next level. So obviously Coach Carl and the rest of the coaching staff and my teammates. So everybody was a huge help. Everybody was pulling the rope. So, for me, like playing with Barons, playing with my brother, like they're guys who are in their junior year, about to sign a contract. So for me, it was how do I watch them and see what they do well and, take from them to put into my game. So they were huge helps this year. And it was definitely a great year.
I looked at your stats throughout your career so far, and a lot of people don't realize how hard the first year is at the national team development program, the under 17 year. And I noticed like offensively, as good as you are now, the stats weren't really like anything crazier to write home about. Was that more you talking about how they didn't necessarily get the best of you early on, or were you maybe not playing first power play? And did anything change the summer going into the 18 year where all of a sudden, you're at 40, 50 points in 60 games and like under 18s, you're running the power play, you're winning the gold medal. Like, was there a lot of improvement that summer from 17 to 18 year?
Definitely. I mean, I came into my 17s year. Everyone just knew me as this California kid from Shattuck. No one really knew, who I was or what I was really doing there. So my 40 camp kind of made the team right at a 40 camp. Wasn't going in expecting to make the team or anything like that.
Wow.
And, in my head, like I knew I could make it. Like I've always had like confidence, belief that I can do it. Like I think the guys that I play with, see me on a different level than, the outside perspective of scouts and whatnot. I think people know, me on a different level when you're actually playing with me. And, so the guys from Shattuck, weren't surprised when I made it, but I think everybody else was pretty shocked. So, I mean, I came in, I had a conversation with the coaching staff and everybody, and they're like, we don't know where we see you in the lineup. You could be a 50, a 60. We don't know. And, for me, I was like, okay, you can see me this way, but I know I can be the best on the team. So, for me, it was, going to 17 years was hard. I had to learn a lot. It wasn't, doing well offensively. I was struggling defensively. It wasn't playing power play. I started playing power play maybe, end of the year, really late. So
you had to earn it.
It was, I had to earn it. I had to earn every moment. I think that was really good for me. It's not like, I don't think I've ever been gifted anything, years prior, but I think it was just another step of me, needing to show and prove myself and not get anything easy. And that's, kind of how it's always been, but, it just made me stronger in a way. So going like that 18s year, I was like, screw everybody. I'm not going to, take a back seat to especially kids my age. So, it was how do I develop, how do I take my game to the next level and, be that number one power play guy. I mean, beginning of the year, my 18th year, I was switching off with 2 other guys in the power play. Like we didn't even have a set defenseman. Like, you look back now and you're kind of like, how is that, whatever. But, I had to kind of establish myself and, it's going to be hard. It's going to be like that when you go to the NHL. And that was kind of the big thing for me was, how do I establish myself and show that I'm better?
How has it been balancing all of it? Because you just talked about this 14-month period, over the last 2 years, have you been able to have much of a social life, or has it just been the grind of being at the rink and putting in the time in order to put yourself in this situation? What do you do to escape and get away from it all?
California, it's pretty easy. I think, no one knows what the hell hockey is here. I'll go hang out with my girlfriend and her friends and just like my friends and, everyone's like, oh, you're the guy that got drafted, right? And I'm like, yeah, oh, congrats. They don't really care or know or anything. And it's nice, you kind of just get to get away from it and, just be a kid. So, I mean, when I'm home in the summertime, I'm training, I'm having fun with it, skating and whatnot, but, I'll go to the beach or whatever and take some take some time off and just kind of relax. So I mean, I'm not a guy that sits there and really thinks about everything too deeply. I think everybody will agree with me on that. But yeah, I think just trying to stay in the moment and enjoy it.
Well, one of my favorite parts about interviewing guys and a lot of the fans too that listen is hearing the upbringing and how you became who you are as a person and a player. And I think yours is probably one of the most excited I've been to hear about, because everyone, from Canada or Boston, Michigan, they start playing hockey. Their dad played hockey. But your parents, immigrants from Israel, they had no clue anything about hockey. Your older brother wanted to play. It led into 2 hours of driving back and forth each way. Like, take me into the beginning. And I guess it was probably a little easier for you seeing your older brothers do it. But how do your parents recall when your oldest brother wanted to play and the beginning of the madness of like hockey life?
It was, it's insane. I think actually, so obviously our cousin Gilad, who's at the draft, you might have met him or not, but yeah, so he just played at San Luis Arena, a rink 5 minutes down the road. We'd have barbecues in the backyard on Friday nights. Like, there was no AAA, it wasn't a travel like club team or anything. It was very much just to have fun and learn to love the game. And us being kids and not knowing anything about hockey, or parents not knowing anything, it was solely just to have fun with it. So Shy had loved to go watch him play, and a couple months later, begged my parents to let him play. I think my mom's words were like, "Over my dead body." She's like, you're too clumsy. It's too expensive. We don't know what this sport is. Like, just go play basketball, go play football, like, go do anything else. And Shy was like a big kid. Like, he was like 6 feet at like 12. Like, so he was clumsy and break helmets or whatever. So they didn't want him to play. Obviously, eventually let him play. And Ben, my oldest brother, eventually got into it. And then being a little brother, you tag along. So I would go to the rink. I would roll around with rollerblades. I wasn't on the ice for like the first couple months. I would just kind of roll around in blades. And then I think a couple months later, I loved it and just tried to hop on the ice and fell in love with it.
Was there a story that your parents were unaware that you had to get your skates sharpened? So you guys hadn't sharpened your skates for like months and months and months, like when you guys first started out?
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't even think they knew what like gear was or anything. Like, I remember like we get on the ice, and I think this is like when I was a little bit older, like we'd be falling over. And like the first time I think they really knew what like a sharpening was probably like at the Kings when we moved to the Junior Kings.
Come on.
And like I swear, like we literally like, didn't like, I don't even know. It was like, it's actually like our coaches used to tape our sticks, like Brad Bell, and like he was like the quickest tape job ever. Like, now looking at it, was probably terrible, but he just spin the tape like as fast as he could, no toe, nothing. We used to use like these 100 flex combats that were like this big. If you guys know what the combat stick is, but like just anything that we could have or use, we take to go play with. So it was different, but I'm so happy that that's kind of how we grew up, where we weren't forced to go play or do anything. It was all up to us. Like, if we wanted to go, skate and whatever, like our parents weren't going to be like, you have practice or this. They're like, if you want to go, you can go, but we're not going to force you to go. So it was all up to my brothers and I to kind of, decide if this is what we want to do. And, for them, they were just there to support us.
So your dad, I imagine you get a lot of, your confidence and how hard you work from him. He comes over, and I believe he started an HVAC company, knew no English when he moved to the United States. So like, you've seen what he's been through and what he's done to become a success. And that's probably helped you with becoming the player you became now.
Big time. Yeah. I mean, I think the both of them worked so hard. I mean, my mom, when they first moved over, was obviously working, making small money just to try to help them, survive and to keep them on their feet. And after my dad's business kind of took off a little bit, obviously they had the three of us, and seeing him wake up every morning at 6 a.m, coming back late nights. When we moved from San Diego to Laguna, which was like the midway point between San Diego and LA, he would drive an hour to work. My mom would drive an hour and a half to practice, and we'd meet up, 10 p.m. at night, 11 p.m. and do it all again the next day. So it was long days, long nights, and they just put in so much work and sacrifice for us. Even not knowing what the path was going to be, not knowing what the journey was going to be. It was just solely because they knew that we loved to play, and that they were going to kind of do anything to let us play. So, I mean, my mom's everyone says their mom's a rock star, but we love to say our mom is a true rock star just because, everything she's done. And I don't think my dad also gets enough credit for all the work he's put in to provide for our family and, let us live out our dreams.
I think so many parents now get into it with the idea of like, oh, he could get a D1 scholarship, he could get in the NHL. Like they were doing it because you loved it. But when you had these rides, which I think the article I read, 4 days a week, 2 hours there, 2 hours home. Did you love hockey enough where you didn't even care? Like, were you so young? You're like, I don't mind, like not knowing how crazy it was to be in the car that long.
He was doing homework in the car for 2 hours.
Yeah, right. He didn't do homework.
Yeah, he was. Right, Zeev?
Yeah. So, yeah, but I didn't know. Like, I didn't understand how crazy, the drive was. I didn't understand that, my mom is driving us 2.5 hours in the middle of, rush hour in LA to get us to practice. Like, I didn't get it. Like, I would just, like, we had this huge, SUV, and I'd put the seat down and do homework, whatever, take a nap, just kind of hang out, watch some TV on my phone, like literally just do anything. It just felt like it was normal. Like she'd have, meals packed for us from home and our gear packed. Like she would do everything for us. So it was like, we never had to stress out about having our gear or doing this or doing that. Like everything was always packed, ready to go. Like, so it was, the way she did it and kind of handled us was super crazy. So, like I said, like it was drives that just felt normal. Didn't feel like, it was out of the ordinary. And, the older we got and then we started going, went to Shattuck and the rink is 30 seconds down the road and kids, some guys are lazy to go down the road 30 seconds. We're like, oh my God, 30 seconds. Like this is unbelievable. So, when we kind of got back from that, and Shy and I think we drove from LAX to San Diego and we're like, holy shit, like how the hell did mom do this for this many years? So, we can't thank her enough, and we definitely don't take it for granted.
We've had Wayne on a couple times, and he obviously talked about the growth of hockey in Southern United States. Obviously, California with him going to the Kings. How much of hockey around that area had an impact on you when you were younger? Because Anaheim won their cup with Corey Perry and Getzlov there early on. San Jose had a lot of years where they were in the mix, and then obviously the LA Kings with those 2 cups in 3 years. Like you go on to the Junior King, so that development there, were you completely dialed in because of how hockey was growing in Southern California?
Yeah, I didn't even know like hockey was like weird, I guess, in California. I didn't know it was something that wasn't normal. Like for us, like it just kind of felt like, it's a sport where it's supposed to be here. It's supposed to be in California. Like it just felt that way for us. I think, that's kind of how every kid honestly felt. So, like you said, you had a lot of guys to kind of look up to, a lot of teams, in a sense where the Ducks were doing really good, the Kings were doing really good. So it's like hockey is good in California, and also, practicing at Tahoe Sports Center is where, the Kings also used to practice. So you would see them around the rink all the time, and they would stop and have conversations with you, and it's like, just kind of gets you more excited, and you get a taste of what it's like. So I think, for me, it was nothing, didn't feel weird, didn't feel like it wasn't, a sport that was supposed to be here. So it just all kind of felt like it was normal.
Who were you looking up to? Doughty?
Yeah, I love Doughty. Doughty is, like when I was younger, I was like a little like grit ball. Like I would love like messing with guys, and like, because like how he played, he was just like chippy and aggressive, but also like offensive. And that's how I loved it. Like you could ask guys like stories about me. Like I would like if someone cut me in line, I'd like slash them in the back of the leg and like just be like a little rat. So, and I was small, like I was a small little rat. So
yeah, I read that you went on your brother's DU visit, right? So obviously you weren't eligible to sign, or maybe you were, but you were very young, and you went through a big growth spurt. You were 5'1" at one point when you went on that trip, and your brother was like, "Hey, I'm going to need a few weeks to decide," and you were like, "The hell are you talking about? Like, you better be coming here. It's the best university going."
Yeah, it was sick. I think it was like exactly like Shattuck, in a way. It was just like a bigger Shattuck, and I love Shattuck, so I was like, this is perfect. I don't know what you're doing or what you're thinking about. Like, it's not, I'm not gonna bash on them. Like, I'm not bashing you, Shy. You're gonna watch this, but like, he didn't have like many offers. It's not like he had so many other places to go. I was like, dude, like this place is sick. Like, like what are you doing? So for me, it was fun. I mean, like you said, I went to visit with him. I was not a lot of people know, but I was a late bloomer. I was 5'2", 100, 20 pounds or whatnot when I went to Shattuck. Like it was, 13 and really underdeveloped. So, that COVID was kind of like what kind of changed me as a player, where that 6-month span where we didn't see anybody, we didn't, do anything. Like my brother and I, Shy, Ben, like, we built like a gym in our garage at home, and for 6 months just kind of isolated ourselves, and I grew maybe 5 or 6 inches, put on some weight, and that was kind of the year that set me up to get invited to 40 camps. So
what were you doing? The inversion table? Is that what you were doing to get the inches?
Shy,
the inversion table?
Pull hard.
That's what I was doing.
Yeah. I don't know. I was sleeping a lot. I was eating a lot. I don't even know. I was probably doing anything I could, but it was a good 6 months for me. Like I think that's like COVID honestly helped me. Like I always like to, like, it's crazy to say, but like COVID was like probably the reason my career kind of took a different path.
How did you guys find out about Shattuck, right? Like, were you kind of recruited there, or your brother? Or like, because obviously it's a well-known kind of hockey institution, Crosby, Taves, all these legends. But for you, when you heard about it, like, I'm moving to Minnesota, were you excited, or more like, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of things. I think so. Ben, my oldest brother, was one who actually got recruited to play at Shattuck. And like he was really good, and Ben Umhafer was like the head guy at Shattuck there, and he recruited Ben, and my mom and dad again were like, we don't know about this, like sending our kids away from home at like 15, like that sounds crazy. So they weren't sure about it, and Shy was like the hockey nerd, like kind of knew everything about Shattuck. He's like, this is where we need to go, like if we want to make it, if we want to go to the next level, like this is the place to go, like it's the best boarding school for hockey in the world, like we have to go here. And so my parents like, okay, like, and we're like, Shy at this time wasn't even going there, so we're like, okay, like whatever. And eventually, like that same summer, Ben Umhafer had like called my mom, like, bring Shy too, Shy can come. So Shy ended up going with Ben to Shattuck. Ben left, I think maybe 2 months in, wasn't really for him. It was kind of like we like to call like the guinea pig. We're just kind of toss him in there, let him shoot out the waters, and we'll go out after it. But I mean, it wasn't for him, which is fine. But Shy obviously stayed and loved it, and I ended up going when I was 13. So it was
Was your mother an Olympian or like a swimmer?
Yeah, people get this like wrong all the time. Like they're like, oh, she's Olympic she just played professional. Yeah. She just played professional.
Where you used to do your homework.
Where Biz learns about the most photographed mountain range in the world.
Oh, fuck off. It's Switzerland. I thought it was the Grand Tetons. Have you ever heard of the Grand Tetons? Oh, for fuck's sake. Never mind. You could keep going.
What do they get wrong about your mom's sporting history?
It's like,
what other facts did we not have?
She was a professional women's basketball player in Israel.
Oh, okay.
Just like on one of like the teams in like top league.
I mean, that's probably where you get a lot of your athleticism from too. Did she always want you guys playing sports? Was that a key? And then like when it came to it and you guys picked hockey, she was like, I didn't mean that one.
Yeah, basically. I mean, I don't think she like really forced sports on us, but like we kind of just grew up playing them, got into them like, right away, and we loved it. So like I said, they never really forced us to do anything, but we loved it right away, just being outside, playing whatever it is, basketball, soccer, football, ping pong. We would just do anything together as brothers. So anything we could kind of pick up and do, we would.
I think it's funny because you talk to most kids, like I guess their dad or their mom might have played hockey, and they talk to you about the games, and you hear about like the long ride homes if you played bad, but your dad must have been like, great game. You're like, I was -4 and got benched in the third, Dad. Like he knew, I'm guessing he knew nothing about the sport. on like what you could do better, right?
Actually, nothing. That's actually like this is the best story ever. So Shy had a game at Shattuck his 16th year, and my dad like he doesn't watch much, doesn't like really care. Like he just wants us to have fun. Like he doesn't know if you score a goal, you don't score a goal, like whatever. It was one of Shy's like first games of the year. Shy's a lefty, and Shy, you don't have any like last names or anything, but like when you're watching somebody, you should definitely know if it's your kid or not.
Yes.
So he throws on the game, and he's like, "Oh my god, like Shy's playing so well." Like texting my mom, like he's playing unbelievable. My mom's at the game, and she texts my dad like he played like shit, like he played so bad. And my mom's like, or my dad's like, what are you talking about? He scored 2 goals. And my mom's like, what game like are you watching? Like, what do you mean he scored? And so he texts Shy, he's like, hey, great game. And Shy texts back like, I don't think mom thinks that. Like, I don't think I played very well. And then he's like, what do you mean you scored 2 goals? And he's like, Dad, what game are you watching? So he's watching the younger team.
Oh, for Christ's
While
sake.
He's not even
also,
watching he wasn't even on the ice
he
in
watched
this game.
he watched the wrong game, and he saw a kid wear number 8 who was also a righty, and Shy's a lefty.
Oh,
And he said,
God.
"Oh, that's my son," and watched the entire game. It saw him
That was
score
me
2
my whole
goals.
NHL career, not knowing what hand my line mate shot. That's why I could never put it on their stick. Jesus, that's a tough look.
He's like, I was putting
it
air conditioners into a fucking mansion. Leave me alone.
I'm trying to pay for your skate sharpenings, you asshole. Shut up. Oh, my
Yeah,
God.
it was different. I mean, that was crazy. I've never like heard anything like that before.
What about the question that I'm sure you've kind of been dealing with, but national title, first team All-American, like how do you decide about going back to school or not? Like, I don't know if you've been talking with your family, Billy Guerin, David Carl, like what's the situation like there?
I mean, I talked to all of them. I think we all kind of made the decision that it's the smartest to go back to school, and
I
it's
love
just
that.
the best decision for me. I think I'm young. There's no reason to rush into anything, and Minnesota feels really strong about me going back and kind of playing another year. And for me, it's like the way I ended the year, development standpoint, like defensively, I felt really, really good. And I think if I can go into this year having that, tool and like skill set in a way where I know what I need defensively, then add on top of that, it only, can make me better. So that's something that I'm big on right now and trying to improve on. And then also it's a challenge. Like trying to defend a title is going to be tough and exciting. And, who doesn't want to be at school also after winning a national championship? So
Exactly.
I think it's going to be a ton of fun. It's going to be an exciting year. And at the same time, hopefully World Juniors again and try to defend that as well. So it's 2 things that, you want to try and do again. So
I'm sure Minnesota Wild fans are thrilled, especially with the bright future they have on the back end. Has Brock Faber reached out to you after you were drafted just to kind of touch base? And, you guys are going to be the 1-2 punch back there for many years to come.
yeah, we'll see. But no, I don't think he reached out, but I saw him like obviously in Minnesota. And he just kind of said, hey, congrats, man. Like, that's awesome. Like, happy for you. Like, blah, blah. So, he talked to me a little bit. It was very quick, obviously, but it was cool to just kind of walk by him and hear him say that. But I got texts from a lot of them. It felt really cool. Like, Spurgeon texted me, Bogosian, Brisov, Boldy. So it was cool to get, texts from those guys and kind of say, hey, welcome to Minnesota. So, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool to see those guys.
What did
reaching out.
Kaprizov text you? Like, what was it? Like, could you read it to us?
Pass me the fucking
yeah.
puck and rush it.
I think he just said like congratulations, but I gotta read it. It's on my phone though. But
Oh, yeah, I got it.
It's like the English was so bad. It was like, we'll see you good. Like, I don't know. It was something like just you couldn't even fully understand, but it wasn't like bad. Like you could obviously read it, but there was like maybe 2 or a word or a letter just kind of like just shouldn't be in that spot.
For this summer, what are you doing? Like, how many times do you be on the ice? I like asking the younger guys to skate more now. So say you go back to school end of August, the next like 6 weeks, will you skate 3-4 days a week, or will you just be off ice training? How does your training work right now?
Like for me, I just kind of plan it out. Like I'm going to World Junior Summer Showcase in a couple weeks, and we skate every day there for 10 days or whatnot. So it's like I'm not gonna burn myself out right now and skate 4 or 5 times a week. For me, like the off ice part in the summer is more important to me, where it's like, how do I make my body stronger and prepare myself for a better year physically. And then on the ice, I mean, I'll get on the ice maybe 2-3 times a week at max, maybe twice at the max sometimes through a week. So it just kind of depends on how I feel. Like if I want to skate more, I'll skate more. But I think for me, it's like you don't need to kill your hips and your legs and your back or whatnot from skating all the time, but really try to focus on the gym part where I'm still young, can still develop my body and get bigger and stronger. So I'm not gonna take that part away because I want to go skate.
I don't want to get you in trouble because you're going back for another year, but any good David Carl stories? He seems very, very intense. Like, do you ever catch him like laughing? Like, you guys joke around in the locker room? Was he just having that? Was he just having that type of attitude on our podcast, or is he very straight and narrow?
I mean, he's pretty like, I don't know. Like, I see him differently for some reason. Like all the guys at Denver, like, say kind of the same thing, but like for some reason I see that part, but at the same time, like I see it like I think he's just very like calm and relaxed, and people just kind of read him wrong.
You're the best player, so it works a little different for the guys.
No, but like I'm just like when we have conversations, like they'll like we have a really nice locker room, and we have a nice setup where everyone kind of is always in the same place at the same time, and like he'll come out and the other coaches, we're all talking, they'll all be like, oh my god, like. He's
like, shh.
Oh, like, yeah, and I'm like, what do you like? He's 10 years older than the oldest guy on our team. Like, he's not like, you know what I mean? Like,
he's immature.
Obviously, we all respect him so much, and like he's got so much knowledge. But it's like you can also have a conversation with him. Like, he's a great dude. Like, I think he's just so calm and like relaxed that he kind of mentally just bucks people because they're like, holy, like this guy's like.
So is that the case where he's always very even keel, or is there a snap show inside where if you guys aren't practicing up to his standard or maybe not playing up to his standard, does he ever elevate, or is he always in that neutral mode?
He almost just kind of looks at you like if you like do something really stupid, like like mess up real bad or whatever, like he doesn't really yell, but he'll just look at you and like give you this talk and just make you feel like the biggest idiot. Like you just like it's like it's worse than getting yelled at. Like it's worse. Like I remember like I had said something, like me and Rizzo were yelling at each other or something on the bench. He was telling me like pass him the puck, and I ended up passing him the puck, and he turns it over, and he like trips the guy, and I get back to the bench. I'm never passing to him again. Like like just fired up. And DC like right after the period, he just pulls me over. He just stares me as he goes, "Never say that shit again." And I was like, yeah, okay. I gotcha. And it's like he just kind of like he'll make you feel it. Like, you know what I mean? He make sure what he's trying to say, and then he's like, all right, go on.
Well, speaking of getting into it with teammates, did you ever get into it with your brother? You guys are playing a lot together. Like, what if he throws you a couple grenades in the first period? You go back to the bench and say, bro, you better
like, you're lucky to get a scholarship here, bitch.
Yeah. You be riding my fucking coattails ever since I committed before you on your trip, bitch.
No, it is awesome. I think, like he always would yell at me and say, don't pass him on the power play. And everyone's looking, I'm like, dude, like I'm the only, like he's the only guy I pass to on the power play. Like it's all I did was this way and just send it right back to him. And it was his job to either fuck up or do something with it. And so, he would joke about that on the bench, and he'd yell at me to pass in the puck more. And then, kind of midway through the year when I started to kind of understand, how my year was going, I was like, screw you. I'm not passing you the puck. I'm keeping this puck. So,
hey, Coach Carl said, look you off. We're not going to your side anymore.
It is good. And I mean, he'd get on me sometimes with little things. It would be like, if I'm slacking defensively. I mean, one time, I lost I see like red sometimes is what like they like to call it. And I'll say things that I don't even know what I'm saying, but I'm just rambling and kind of yelling. And it was like midway through the year, we weren't doing well. I wasn't, feeling the best with my game, and something had happened on the ice, and I kind of I got in the locker room just like screaming about something and yelling, bitching at the forwards and telling them they need to like do better on the walls or whatever. And Shy's like, if you don't fucking stop yelling, I'm going to yell at you. And like all the guys, like just everyone just went silent and everyone's like just like laughing their ass off. Like, holy, big brother just took over.
Yeah, I just ran your show. Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff. That's a good dynamic.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, buddy, we thank you so much for joining us. I don't know if you had any more, but just an incredible story of your parents coming over and a success story, really, with all hard work and determination, really with the whole family. So congratulations to you and all of them on all your guys' success. And I hope your brother has a long career as well. And I look forward to seeing you in a Wild jersey very soon.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, this is awesome. Thank you guys for having me.
Anytime. And have a great summer, man. It's going to be pretty cool, like knowing you're going back to school for the excitement with Pioneer fans, and you guys will be looking to get it done again. Actually, were you at Shattuck with Celebrini, or did you miss each other?
Yeah, no, we were there for a year. I mean, we hung out. We would, go skate together or whatnot. So like, I've known him since then. He's a phenomenal kid. Obviously,
Yeah,
you guys have met him.
he's awesome.
Just a humble, like just great kid. I mean, I love giving him shit just because I don't think he gets enough shit.
He doesn't
Obviously,
get any.
so we'll give each other shit. But I like to say he's just got a losing record to me. So we're good. Every tournament I've won and he's lost, and so we're good.
Oh God, here we go. Last one. Any wake surfing on the agenda? Any? Do you do any wake surfing in the summer, or no? Is that not your sport?
I mean, we don't really we go to the beach, so we're not really wake surfing. If people will surf, I'm not the biggest surfer, but I mean, I'll go to the beach, go hang out. I like to wake surf before, but yeah, not a lot.
Okay, good to know.
Biz needs
Well, buddy,
lessons.
have a great rest of your summer and a good rookie camp with the Minnesota Wild, and look forward to seeing you in Denver next year.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, this is awesome.
Have a great one, Zeev. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
What's up, guys? I need to talk to you about Labatt Blue Light. Whether you're at a beer league or just watching some hockey with your squad, you cannot find a better beer than a fresh Labatt Blue Light. Lots of things are better together. Hockey, food, golf. But if you really want to take things to the next level, drink some Labatt Blue Lights with your friends and live life to the power of we. I cannot stop thinking about back to September when we did the Chiclets Cup and had endless Labatts. I'm sure Sabres Mafia has consumed their fair share of blue lights this summer, especially after their offseason. No offense, Buffalo, no offense. But there is nothing like a fresh Labatt Blue Light on the golf course, maybe even during a sandbagger as well. You've seen us mix that in during the little golf matches we crush around YouTube and Rumble. So remember, take a page out of the Labatt Blue Light book and enjoy your beers together so you can live life to the power of we. Find Labatt Blue Light at labattusa.com/finder. That's labattusa.com/finder. Thank you so much to Zeev Buium. What a story. What a player. Great kid. We appreciate him coming on so much. It's going to be pretty special watching what's in store for that kid in his future and what he'll do in the NHL. So awesome to see that and to talk to him. Biz, I don't know if you had anything, but I think now we just throw it over to Malarchuk in an incredibly emotional interview that I think everyone will really enjoy.
Yeah, originally his friend reached out and we were going to do it just like on Zoom, but given the impact of the interview and the seriousness of it, it just made sense because he lives in Reno for him to come down and meet us at the NHL draft and awards in Vegas. So we can't thank Clint Malarchuk enough for his time and for being vulnerable and opening up and helping a lot of people, whether it's through this interview or through his ranch or anything else he does for charity. So without further ado, Clint Malarchuk.
Well, it's a pleasure to welcome our next guest. This goalie was taken 74th overall by the Nordiques at the 1981 NHL Draft. He spent his first 5 seasons in Quebec before moving on to Washington and Buffalo to finish his 10-season NHL career. Then he finished up his pro career here in the old IHL with Vegas. Thanks so much for joining us on the Spittin Chiclets podcast. Clint Malarchuk, how are you doing, my friend?
Fuck, well, Clint. That would be the last time our rate talks. Shit, I tell you what, 10, I counted 12, but you did the research, so whatever you want, RA. You're the guy. You're the guy.
How you doing these days, brother?
I'm doing good. I'm doing pretty good. It's been hectic. This Vegas Oh my God! I left my room at like 40 minutes, and I'm late because I'm old too, you know, and I've got concussions, and I am so lost. And you guys were, where is he? Where is he? And I'm like, I'm trying, boys.
Well, no, it's because the hotel we're at right now, the Venetian. It's like the never-ending hallways.
3 different elevators to get up to Grinelli's room that's on the 3rd floor.
Right.
Explain that to me.
and I'm an old goalie, so that that's really hurting. That's not good for me.
And another thing, it doesn't seem like you're much of a city guy because I mean you're raised
John
in
Dutton.
You're John Dutton, yeah, raised in Grand Prairie, Alberta, and then currently you live on a ranch in Reno, Nevada.
Well, about an hour south of Reno. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
and obviously you probably do a lot with horses, riding.
Yeah, I do. Me and my colleague, veterinarian, he and I do horse dentistry and chiropractic, and together he's a full-fledged vet, and we do semen testing on bulls. I know you're gonna go, what is that? Basically, yeah,
Why the fuck are you looking at me like that, Clint?
because you're semen testing bulls.
Yeah, how's it taste?
Oh, Jesus, no way. Oh, my God. I cannot believe you said... Well, I can. I've listened to you. You're getting a bull to ejaculate. You got a microscope. You count the swimmers and the deads, and the bull's got to pass. You got to measure his scrotal circumference. And you asked me to do that to you when I walked in, and I said, well, I do have the microscope with me. and
that's what most girls need to find it,
right?
In order to find it.
This may be a stupid question, Clint, but what do horses get, like, cavities filled?
No.
Okay.
No.
I mean,
no.
I know I'm not the only one
can.
that was wondering it in terms of the horse dentist.
You give them like movie
You can
teeth?
do that, but we usually just extract it. Yeah,
Just pull them.
Yeah.
So was that all because you finished up in playing for Vegas in the IHL and then stayed out here, or were you all over different places before you came back here?
I went from Vegas to Idaho, coached. It was the West Coast Hockey League, which merged with the ECHL. And I was on, as a coach, you're hired to be fired. They hired a new GM. He said, we might keep you. It was July, and they were still. And so I'm like, what else do I know? I just know hockey. That's it. Yeah. That's it. No, I know horses. So I looked up some things. I had back surgery and stuff, so I didn't want to be a farrier. And I looked up some things. Go to horse dental school, and I became a horse dentist.
Wow.
And next thing you know, a year later, I'm back in the NHL as a goalie coach. But I've kept my practice, and you know, it was always seasonal. You know, hockey in the winter and horses in the summer. And now I'm pretty much full time. I do a lot of public speaking. But between that, it's you know, my cattle horse business and public speaking.
So horses was a passion for you, similar to hockey. Like they were a part of your life growing up and teenage years.
Yeah, I had two passions. You know, hockey. Obviously, you guys know this. It's our obsession. But you know, we got hobbies, and horses was a hobby, but a passionate one.
I think obviously most people listening right now know your story about the tragic accident, and obviously the fact that you played in the league and were resilient enough to come back from it. But we usually like to start at the beginning, right? Obviously, you mentioned you're from Alberta, and as a kid, like what made you fall in love with the game, and what made you decide becoming a goaltender?
Oh yeah,
you're insane.
Well, yeah, no kidding. Couldn't find a room here. You know, growing up in northern Alberta, you know, hockey, it's like 11 months of winter. And so, you know, hockey's it. You know, you grew up in Boston, right? And you grew up, you know, they're hockey cultures. And I grew up my brother, who was 7 years older, which is a big age difference, was a goalie. But more importantly, my dad was a goalie too. Didn't wear a mask, one of the old, you know, and he played at a pretty high level. And so I just wanted to be a hockey player, but I wanted to be a goalie. But they would not let me be a goaltender until I could skate. They knew that skating, and it doesn't matter how fast you go as a skater, but you got to use edges, you know. And now, of course, we all know that. But back then, it was like, no, just get in the goal, you know, a fat kid or, you know, the kid that can't skate.
So like, how did they test your edges, and how did they make you work in order to earn the right to strap on the pads? Was it something that your father was bringing you to the rink and doing?
No, it wasn't that back then. No, they just I needed to know how to skate. You know, I wasn't going to be back then it was the kid that couldn't skate, put him in goal, or the fat kid, put him in goal. or the goofy, the kid that needed anything, put him in goal because no one wanted to play goal really. I mean, especially then the masks weren't great, and I started without a mask myself, as you can see. And but they couldn't raise the puck much. That looked kind of like you guys.
Yeah, I couldn't. Well, Whit could, I couldn't.
Whit could.
But did you, when you finally strapped on the pads, did you find that you were like an above average goaltender? Did you feel like you were accelerating? And
no.
Oh, not right away. Because
No.
I did also see that you dealt with anxiety as a kid too.
Oh,
you
boy.
felt like hockey was your only escape and the only time that you could really truly get out of your own head and just really enjoy the moment.
Yeah. At first, I was okay, but then I went to hockey school and learned about goaltending, and of course my dad and big brother were always there too. But when you don't listen to your parents or your brother, you go to a hockey school. Oh, these guys are smart, and that's when I started to really getting back to the other thing about the anxiety. God bless my dad. He was a great guy, but he was an abusive alcoholic when he drank. And he drank a lot and a lot more as time went on. So so there was a lot of anxiety at home, maybe
Walking on eggshells.
Worried about what kind of mood he's going to be if he's drinking.
So I always tell this story. I'd be coming home late at night, pulling my hockey gear on a toboggan across this big snow field. And I noticed my anxiety was getting, as a kid, you don't think about it, but now I look back and go, I didn't know what I was coming home to.
That's why I was feeling that way.
Yep. Is Dad hammered? Is he yelling and screaming and throwing crap at my mom? But I like to say this because when I wrote my book, I think I was kind of hard on him. And I reflect back now and I go, I do understand the disease. And, that wasn't him. He was a good man. It was the disease.
Maybe the way he was raised too, like you had some empathy for him.
He grew up in a bowling alley pool hall. His parents ran a bowling alley and a pool hall in Grand Prairie, which is a very small town then. So yeah, he grew up in a tough, little bit rough culture, I would say.
When did you notice that? Wow, I'm getting pretty good at this. Like I got some talent here, and maybe the NHL wasn't on your mind yet, but you're like, all of a sudden I'm way better than I was before.
Okay, I'm going to start off by stating that I was a very insecure person, probably because of my default mode was guilt and shame because of my dad and that. So, and I'm still really, really an insecure man, believe it or not. And we all can relate to things. You just have to be honest about it. We're all insecure in certain ways. But I think when I was about 14, and my brother was playing major junior, and I thought that was the NHL to me. They're wearing suit and ties to games, and I'm going and watching this, and I thought, wow, these guys were my heroes. But I was starting to really kind of get pretty good then. And, my brother was a great mentor, and by then, Dad was pretty much out of the picture, so my big brother, Garth, I know you're going Garth and Clint. My mother knew Garth Black and Clint Black and Garth Brooks way back then. No, she named us those actually. But yeah, that's kind of, I looked up to him so much.
So around that time, was that really the first time you'd ever felt like validation because of like you started having success?
Wow, you're getting deep, aren't you? Huh? Yeah. It's like I really struggled with the anxiety, and I had undiagnosed OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, which probably helped me in certain way. We all got it, to play in the NHL, you have to have a degree. But what absolutely. But when it takes over your life is when it is a problem. You can't control it, and it becomes away from the game or whatever. But yeah, hockey was my everything. It was my freedom. It was because I didn't feel normal. I looked at other kids and they're happy and everything. And maybe I looked happy to them. I don't know, but I sure wasn't. Inside I was, my guts were churning and had a lot of anxiety and depression. And you got to remember, when you're a kid, you don't think about like what's wrong with me. You might say what is wrong with me, but you don't think, well, this is depression or
Well, even I mean, at that
And back then, not saying you're old.
oh yeah, you are.
no, buddy,
You said that when I walked in the door.
Yeah, you turned me right away, you ugly motherfucker. So I had to get you back a little bit. But back then, I mean, you're not. People would be like, "What are you talking about? Toughen up. You're fine."
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Like, remember, we grew up in a culture of, don't cry, be tough, push through, and that's our society, and that's why there's such a stigma surrounding mental illness because no one wants to talk about. We're getting way better. But I'm going back a few years, and like your cry as a kid, I'll give you something to cry about. I'll smack your ass. So we grew up with that culture, and hockey, especially. It's no offense, but the women didn't play back when I was playing. It was a man's game, and I mean man. And there was guys that there were like guys played back then that if they weren't tough, they would cut your eye out, and the rules were different back then. But if they couldn't fight, but everybody had some grit to them, or you couldn't play. You couldn't play, and you guys experienced part of that too.
Well, we've talked about old WHL days. You played in the Portland Winterhawks.
Yeah,
and I guess it's kind of two parts. Like, one, how did you get up? How did you end up there? Because you're so far north in Alberta, and then two, what was it like then? I mean, those are the days of the brawls and the 300, 400 penalty minute guys. And we've had old WHL players kind of talk about the madness.
Yeah, well, exactly. Like, they ended up making a rule in the WHL where teams had to warm up separately.
Yeah, we've heard that.
Yeah,
talked about it.
Yeah,
Crazy.
Yeah, I know, because we would brawl in warm ups, and like I as a goalie, I mean, I love fighting.
Did you get in some tilts as a goalie?
Oh, are you kidding me? Do you think I got this nose from kissing?
Yeah.
Come on.
You got a right hook there.
No kidding, right? No, I love fighting, but as you know, you gotta like it, or you're not going to last.
Even as a goaltender too back then, that's crazy.
Yeah,
you fighting other goalies or some position players?
Oh, you got to Google Malarchuk versus Gamble.
Good one.
Troy Gamble.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Google that. It was in the IHL, but I felt, and Troy, I know him, and he's a great guy, and I hammered the shit out of him. And after I saw him outside, he was all, I was like, Troy, I'm sorry, but you started it. And he kept his mask on. I took it off, and he kept his blocker on.
Oh.
Yeah, kept his blocker on.
Okay.
So you got, what, 6 or 8 inches extension? And I had some knots, but, I killed him.
So, like, how was it for you to make that transition? Where I'm assuming, was that the first time you really moved away from home? And you talked about the things that you dealt with at home and all the anxiety and the mental illness stuff.
Okay, when I moved away from home, my first year, I was in Portland, and I was so homesick. I had a horrible year. Oh, I was so homesick because I went through a lot with my dad and mom, and my mom and I really kind of supported each other, kind of abnormally close, okay? Dysfunctionally close. I'm trying to find the right word, but we had a bond because, she had to go back in the workforce. My dad was, cheating and drinking, and it was really rough at home.
You were supporting her, she was supporting her.
Exactly. And so I missed mom. I worried about mom, and I was just so homesick. I was so homesick, I almost quit hockey. I almost came home. I don't know if I would have quit hockey, but I would have come home and and I was so I would call her, and I want to come home. When she finally said, "Clint, home is always here for you. So if you want to come home, come home." So just kind of that switch.
Yeah, that I can go whenever.
Yeah.
A comfort.
Made me go, okay, I can go. Yeah. Because everybody, and I was not just talking to her, my brother, everybody, Clint, you got to do this. You got to stick it out. You got to stick it out. Well, you guys don't know what I feel. And when they said, no, you can come home, I was like, okay, I got this then. Kind of like the one day at a time.
Did you have like goalie coaches then? Was that before the age of goalie coaches?
Oh, way before.
Yeah. So it's kind of hard if you had a coach who didn't know much about the position. It was like you're a little bit on your own.
Yeah. Well, I think so much of goalie coaching now, it's like a puppy mill. They all do the, it's probably the same with D and forwards, Anyways, the technical part, but it's so, and you guys know this, the mental part. To play at a high level with the pressure, and that's what I focused on with my goalies when I was a goalie coach in the NHL, was making sure, like with Bob Hartley, I had Mika Kiprasov in Calgary and Bob Hartley, and it was like, oh my God, these two hated each other.
Come on.
Oh yeah, and I was just a fireman. I was putting fires out all the time.
How could you hate Mika Kiprasov?
Oh, I didn't hate Mika.
No, I'm saying for Hartley. Like, how could you hate? He seems like the most likable guy in the world.
Because he is. He and he's a funny guy. Once you get, do you know him? Did you play with him?
No, but we've heard so many silly stories about him. How he lives outside of Calgary, and he loved mowing his lawn. And he would have a couple pops. And then what was the other story? He was driving to the rink, and he was catching the rocks coming out the window on the highway. Yeah. So just seemed like a really silly, lovable guy.
Oh, a great guy, but he's very quiet. You got to get into his trust. Once he trusts you, he opens up. Like Johan Hedberg, I think, was his goalie partner in Kentucky when San Jose, that was their farm team, and he told me that Mika pretended he couldn't speak English for 2 years. The coach didn't, because he didn't want to talk to the coach.
So or the media.
Or the media. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I got one. So just going back to Portland, like, so you have that tough first season. Like, what happened during that off season to hit the reset button for you to strive to come back and be an even better goalie? Who were the people you leaned on in order to get there? And I would assume at that point, after that first year in Portland, you probably had aspirations of playing in the NHL, but it seemed like such a far goal.
Yeah, especially after my first year, I was terrible. My second year, I got my shit together mentally and doubled down. I this is going to sound kind of sucky, but my mom was my best friend, my best support, and my brother. I had my brother became my father figure. After Dad had gone and everything. So I had that kind of support, and I had some great coaches, and one of the things I want to talk about, or we can talk about at the end, is at the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame. There, you can get on the link and go to the Hall of Honor, I think it's called, and enshrine somebody, donate some money, and I could enshrine Biz and say, you know what, you made a difference to me. You coached me when I was a kid. And there was a man that really did impact me. He knew my dad, and they were friends, and he knew the dark side of my dad, and he really took me under his wing. He had a son that I played with, and he coached us. And he would be a guy, he's deceased now, but he would be a guy that I am going to enshrine him at the U.S. Hall of Honor, at the USA Hockey Hall of Fame, and the money, 50% goes to, or 80% goes to the ranch, and 20% to the hall. And we can all do that as parents, as coaches, as players. Somebody impacted you. Somebody impacted you. So we gotta. Wow, that'd be so cool, because the guy never played in the NHL, never coached in the NHL, but he impacted you as a player when you're growing up. Or it might not even be a coach.
I was just going to go to your draft. Now, I'm assuming you didn't go to the draft, and after your third year in Portland, obviously you'd have had enough success at that point where you ended up getting drafted 4th round by the Nordiques. Were you expecting to be drafted?
Well, I expected to be drafted my 18-year-old season, even though I didn't play well. My agent was like, "Oh, you'll still get drafted. You'll still get drafted," and I didn't. I was freaking devastated. Agents, don't do this.
Don't tell them this. No,
don't do this.
Yep.
And then the next year, I was confident that I would get drafted, probably real late, and for a goalie, 4th round's not that bad. And then that draft, like when right around where I went, it was Van Beesbrook, Wendell Young. There was like 5 of us. Boom, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and. I was elated, and then it was to Quebec, and I grew up in Western Canada, and of course that the tensions and that, and my grandma was anti-Trudeau, Pierre Trudeau back then, and oh my God, how am I going to tell grandma I'm going to Quebec?
Traitor.
Yeah.
Guess you didn't speak too much French either. Growing up in Alberta.
I tried. I got kicked out. For the English guys in Quebec, We had most of the players were French back then, and we had the Stastny brothers, and so there's me, Dale Hunter, and maybe a handful, 5 guys that were English. So they tried to they bring this tutor in after practice, and I was a horrible student, especially because of my anxiety. I just hated school, and I thought I was stupid and everything. And so we're sitting around this French class, and they all knew a little bit because they were good students or decent students. I don't know about Hunter, but they go, and the stupid bitch would say it in French, and I don't know any French. And the guy, my teammate, would go, je te veux de chez tu. And then they go, everybody would do that. They come to me, and I'm like, and then she got pissed because I'm not answering. She goes, in English, she goes, where do you live? I said, oh, I'm about 2 blocks from the rink here. And she got pissed at me. She thought I was fucking with her, and she threw me out.
This is while you're in the NHL?
Yes, it was Quebec, yeah.
Oh, I would have said, thank God I'd go home. I don't want to do this.
I'm going home. Thank you, lady. But,
That's a tough transition.
Oh, my God.
How was the crowd there then?
Our crowd?
Yeah, great.
Quebec.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Unreal.
That'd be a
that
great
is a
place.
hockey.
There could still be a team there.
I think absolutely 100%. That
The
is
Quebec Montreal rivalry doesn't.
Oh.
I mean, obviously they're not a team, so you don't talk about it. But that was intense. People talk about Montreal, Boston, Nordiques, Canadian.
Yeah,
amazing.
I mean, we brawled them in the playoff. Good Friday
Massacre. Yeah.
Well, you're Boston. Yeah, you know that. Yeah. You follow that stuff.
What's the Friday Massacre?
You don't know the Good Friday Massacre?
No, but fucking come on. I was born in '85. You were probably like what, 40 years old by then? You old fuck. I love this guy.
Oh, so it was. Let's see. It's a playoff game. I think it was an elimination game for us. It might have been. Anyways, so second, Dale Hunter. You got to know Dale Hunter.
Oh yeah, he's a tough customer.
Oh,
you don't fuck with him.
Shit disturber like you would not believe. So, anyways. I think it was, end of the second period, we have a line brawl, and then a full brawl, okay? Refs, they get it all sorted out. Then we drop the puck for the third period, brawl again. So I got kicked out, and I wasn't even playing. I had this, I was doing a podcast or something, and they go, hey, Clint, how does somebody not play 1 minute in an NHL game but get 17 minutes in penalties? I'm like, what are you talking about? That was the Good Friday Massacre. Because we bench clearing brawl, and it was.
So you just go pick their backup goalie? That's just like who'd you square off?
You should have picked their star.
I was trying to protect Dale because they were all trying to get at Dale Hunter, and Dale was my buddy. He was my roommate. We were cellmates. I mean, we did everything together. So I was trying to keep an eye on it, and then all of a sudden, Richard Sevigny, their backup, grabbed me and this really pisses me off because I like fighting, but I was a rookie. And I thought, I don't want to hurt the team. I don't know the rule. Like, what if I, get penalized and put the team in? It's a playoff game. So I didn't actually like really chuck him with them. And now, then following that year, he ends up get traded to Quebec, and I get sent to the fucking minors. I should have fed that prick.
Yeah.
I should have. I should have put him. I should have put him in a coma.
Yeah, because you were up and down.
And then I see him in the shower in training camp. I'm like, "Fuck, are you kidding me? Well, he really is."
I kind of want to know more stories about Dale Hunter.
I got a million.
Let's go.
He fucking cornered him. Our best one was, we fly to LA, and we're flying commercial we played in Minnesota. We were commercial back then, and we're flying and. Dale and I got the idea, let's get the guys, because Dale was a farm kid and I'm a ranch kid, and we thought, hey, these guys never even touched a horse, so let's take them on a trail ride or something, because we're going to L.A., we got 5 days, so we're going to L.A., and we're going to take a puddle jumper to Palm Springs for a little vacation, a team bonding. And so all the guys are like, yeah, that'd be so cool. So anyways, we get to L.A., fly to Palm Springs, they lose our luggage. So no one, we wore suit and ties, so no one's going to go ride a horse in a suit and tie except Clint Malarchuk and Dale Hunter. We don't give a shit. In fact, Dale does not give a shit. We go on a 10-day road trip, and he'd bring a toothbrush. Here, can you put this in your bag? And maybe oh yeah, and a change of shorts maybe. Like, okay.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Oh,
So you guys end up taking the flight over to Palm Springs, just the two of you?
Yeah, and our luggage is lost, so the guys are, and we're on a golf resort, and so Dale says, "Screw this, we're gonna go, let's do it." So we go down the road, we rent these horses, and they gave us beer. You could buy beer there, saddlebags, pack the beer, and we're off there, and it's hot, and then we go up in the mountains, hills, I guess, and we're up there, and we stop. And we're cowboys. We got to make a fire. Well, it's 100 degrees out here, but we got to have a fire to have beer. And so we're drinking beer, and we're getting a little bit shit-faced. And so then we ride along this ridge, and I don't know how long we were gone, but we can look down on the golf course. The luggage must have came in, and because the guys are out there golfing. Hey, the boys, they're all golfing. So we go down there on our horses, and we're ripping up and down the fairways. We're pulling the pins, and Dale and I are jousting. And this guy's in a golf cart. It says Marshall, Golf Marshall. And we were going, hey, the Marshall's after you. He's chasing us on this golf cart. And we're pretending to shoot at him, And we got a handful of pins, the golf flags.
Yeah, like joust. That's unreal. A Knight's Tale.
The guys are just dying. But, I'm not a golfer, and Dale certainly isn't a golfer. We didn't know the damage we were doing. I mean, we're on the greens and everything, and our horses' hooves are tearing it up. And so the guys loved it. And Dale and I, now it's hot. We got our ties as headbands, and our suit jackets are wrapped up like bedrolls on the back of our saddle. And we get back to the where we got to return these horses, and the cops are waiting.
Oh no!
Oh yeah! They're waiting, and we're like, oh, what do they want? We really were ignorant. We did not know this was sacred golf.
Yeah. So, did you guys mention sharing a cell together? So is obviously, I'm assuming you didn't get arrested that time. Was there like bar fights in the midst?
Oh yeah, yeah, and we got reprimanded for a lot of stuff. They pull us. We were at a strip joint or whatever. Just back in the day, I mean, we didn't get paid a lot of money, but boy, we had fun. But yeah, we didn't get arrested. They were going to arrest us. They were going to charge us with criminal charges. But our GM, David Poyle, and our coach, Brian Murray, how much we'll just pay the damages and let's let this go. It was a different world back then.
Different world.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
How old was David Poyle then? That must have been the beginning, right?
I wouldn't say the beginning, but because
pretty early on.
But early, yeah.
He was in the game pretty young because he did it for so long.
Yeah.
All right, were you just telling me Hall of Fame class, right?
Yeah, you just got the Hall of Fame the other day, David.
Yeah. He's a wonderful guy. I really like David. You could walk. He'd come up and talk to you. You know some GMs are. You never see him, and if you do, you're like afraid to even talk to him. And especially back then, coaches and GMs were, they were tough, mean. It was a different era for sure.
I feel like we glossed over the Stastny brothers. I mean, I think they don't get enough recognition in today's world.
Okay, I'll tell you a great story.
Excellent.
Because it's Boston.
All right, love it.
So we're in the playoffs. We're playing the Bruins. Intense playoffs. You know how it is. And the old Garden?
Oh, yeah.
So, you got a freaking highway or a subway over top of you,
Train station, subway in.
Yeah, and you walk out, and it wasn't from me to, I don't know, that camera, which is, people can't see it, but 10 feet, 20 feet. And that's all from the Boston Garden to the bus. And we're all on the bus, all the players on the bus. The coaches come out, and the fans are there. And they're yelling and screaming, and and so we just get on the bus. But the coaches come out, and somebody pushed Michel Bergeron, our coach, and somebody saw the bus emptied, eh? And there's one cop there, Boston cop with a whistle going, blowing his whistle, and it was full on. I mean, we kicked the shit.
You were fighting a bunch of fans?
Oh, yeah. Under the subway thing outside of Boston Garden. And so the thing was, Peter Stastny, and they're European and they play soccer a lot. He chased, this guy hooked Peter, and they were throwing beer bottles and everything at us. And this guy hooked Peter, and Peter was pissed. And Peter was tough, especially European, they never fought back. And Peter took off after him, and I thought, oh shit, they're going away from our group. So I wanted to have his back, and I'm running, and Peter just gave that little flip with his foot, soccer little trip, And that guy hit the dirt, and he looked up, and then he crawled under a car, and Peter and I are circling the car trying to get this guy, drag him out. Oh, it was crazy.
Is this before the game or after the game?
After the game.
Oh,
after,
my God.
after the game. After the game.
Jesus Christ, the shit that you guys used to get up to. And the thing
But
is,
we loved it.
Most of this stuff would never even
Oh,
it
imagine-
wouldn't get the press, right? It was all.
And we thought, oh boy, the papers are going to, nothing was ever written or heard about. That's what's amazing. Now, oh my gosh.
Oh, there'd be
there'd be lawsuits and, oh my gosh, yeah.
Despite maybe all like the stuff growing up, at that point when you started establishing yourself more in the pro career, especially when you were finally a full-time NHLer, like how was life? Was it a lot more like sunshine and rainbows compared to, or were you still really dealing with a lot of that stuff inside?
I always, because I think I was obviously struggled as a kid. I struggled with anxiety and that, but a lot of the times I just thought it was the game, the pressure of the game and everything. And then like my OCD would really be bad the night before a game, the day of a game. And then when the game was done, it was like I had relief.
Oh, yeah.
I had that relief. You can relate. Yeah.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. And you were never diagnosed as mentally ill or anything like that.
No, the OCD
but
stuff.
I would definitely diagnose you.
Yeah. But just like you talked about that anxiety and that performance anxiety, and you want to make sure you're not letting anybody down and making a mistake and then getting yelled at. So I guess all that, not having, as big of a leash, at least when I got to the NHL level, is something I can relate to with you. But it's a little bit different when you're the last man back, you're the goalie, and all of a sudden now you've established yourself as a starter in the NHL. So it's not like you can really hide. You're going in there most nights.
Yeah. So you can relate. You guys could totally relate to that pressure, the anxiety, pre-game, night before game, all that. Now do that when you do have mental illness or anxiety disorder or depression syndrome. So I always thought I was mentally weak. And somebody told me not that long ago, said, Clint, you must have been double tough, because I always thought I was mentally weak. And I thought about that. Because Clint Malarchuk dealt with mental illness and the pressure of an NHL goaltender. I was like, yeah, I was pretty freaking tough. Didn't feel it here or here, but yeah, for sure.
Did you meet anyone? Did you have a girlfriend?
No, because I never. Oh, yeah.
I meant like during that period of time. Did you end up meeting did you get married when you were younger? Like during your pro?
I've been married 4 times.
Okay, all right.
I'm the most
4?
Okay.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Why do you think I still work? It's cheaper to keep them.
Yeah, what's half of half of half of half?
Right? No,
Not a lot.
It's cheaper to keep.
All right, bring that horse over. I'll pull another 2.
Because I pride myself on my honesty. Like my book, when I wrote my book, a week before it was published, I called my, because I couldn't, the edits, they'll send you edits. Okay, what do you want? And I'm like, I can't read it. Anxiety. And then a week before it came on the bookshelves, I was like, holy shit. I told everything. Things, and I was like, oh my God. And I remember talking to my ghostwriter, Dan Robson. I'm like, oh my God. And I started to cry. I said, I made a huge mistake. He goes, no, it'll be fine. I said, no, he goes, well, you did the edits, Clint. And I said, no, I didn't.
I couldn't read it.
Oh. And so anyways, it ended up being a bestseller in 3-4 weeks, and the emails were pouring in. Thank you for your honesty, for your sincerity, humble, vulnerability, and all that. What was your question? I got off.
No, I'd asked
about having a wife. You had 4
met
of them.
someone just because
because and this is vulnerability and honesty. I was so insecure. A girl would look at me, I'll buy you a house and marry you and divorce you in a month. Seriously. And that's how insecure I was. I never dated a girl until I was 19.
What was your shortest marriage?
Oh, less than a year. Yeah. No,
so you were treating them like girlfriends.
Yeah, but I signed
paperwork.
Yeah, the money work.
Was prenups not a thing back then, or what?
I was such a, I just thought, she looked at me.
Impulsive,
marry her.
like impulsive behavior.
Yeah, that could be part of the mental.
Right.
But I think it was insecurity. for sure.
No doubt. And you get traded, you and your buddy Deal get traded to Washington together.
Yeah, I told you we did everything together.
But those teams, I mean, you had 4 Hall of Famers on that squad. You know, Langway, Gardner, Stevens, Murphy. You had some good squads there. Talk about Rod Langway for a minute. I feel he's another guy that maybe younger audiences aren't familiar with.
Rod was a machine. And, man, he could drink like you would not believe.
Really?
Oh, put any of us, and, you know, I mean, incredible. But show up and play and, like, just like nothing never.
Did he win 2 Norris trophies? I know he won 1. He might have won 2, I think.
Yeah, he won 2. Yep.
Yeah.
2.
That's incredible.
Yeah, he was old school, like old school, drink beer, work hard. Like, he'd show up and work his ass off, but, you know, no one could keep up with him the night before. Or he pounded.
How was your, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. How was your time in Washington? I know it was sort of brief there, but did you enjoy your run there?
What do you mean brief? You're the guy that said I had 10 years and it was 12.
No, just in Washington.
You're briefing everything. You're briefing everything. No,
Pigeon tossing you.
Yeah,
That's what we call
I
it.
spent 2 seasons there. What was it like? It was pretty good. I really enjoyed the area. I enjoyed the culture. I remember one time I'm in warm-ups, and you know, I'm kind of the new guy, and Greg Adams comes by. He goes, "Be ready." I'm not starting. He goes, "Be ready." I'm like, well, that's kind of an insult because you always think you're ready. He goes, "Be ready." He kept saying, skating by me, "Be ready." And I'm like, what? And he knew that Pete Peters, my partner, and Pete is a great guy, one of the nicest people you ever want to meet. But he, if he didn't feel 110%, he'd pull the chute. And sure as shit, that game he pulled the chute. And I didn't know this. And Greg was saying, and they knew that. The players knew that. I didn't know it. But, you know, some players are, I'm not built that way. I don't think you two are. Because we're too probably, you know, we weren't that good. No offense. But,
No.
But you
It's
know
like
what I mean?
it's like the first baseman for the Yankees. You never want to give up your spot because you feel like you might lose it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
What's the guy's name I'm thinking of? Wally Pipp.
Yeah. And guys like us, we were always looking over our shoulder. We'd play hurt. We'd play through pain because
Could all be gone.
It could all be gone because that one game that you don't play, somebody else plays, and they light it up, and all of a sudden you're in the minors. Yeah, you guys get this.
I mean, obviously, we wanted to get to Buffalo and your time
Right.
there, and I guess we can go right to the incident, and I guess we'll just hand it over to you to walk us through it and what was going through your mind at the time. And I know afterward you really suffered from a lot of PTSD based on the injury and the fact that it almost took your life.
I thought it was STD.
Oh, fuck Christ. Oh, for Christ's
And,
sake.
and then they said, no, Clint, it's PTSD. Oh okay.
I hope I can beat that.
Yeah. Well, I didn't.
It'd take more than a Z
No.
pack, though.
No. I never thought I was very good as a player. You know, I had a decent career, but it was like I came back so quick because of what we just talked about. Everybody thinks, oh wow, no, I had to come back quick. Okay, yeah, I'll get back to your question. Yeah, okay, the skate cut me. I hate talking about this.
Well, yeah, because like there's some people who might be listening from a younger audience who don't know the situation. So
Right.
if you could walk us through it from start to finish, if
Right.
that's okay with you. If it brings up too many bad memories, we can.
Okay, no. I do it all the time. I will get emotional. I hope I don't. But
No,
I usually do. And you know what? I'm a tough fucking prick. If anybody wants to call me a pussy, because I cry, come here.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
I'll
with that.
feed your fucking face while I cry.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
You know, I'm not the biggest guy, but boy, you don't want to. Anyways. So yeah, first period, we're playing St. Louis and Buffalo, and I get a skate, and it's not important how it happened or anything, but what's important is the blood squirted probably 6 feet. And I knew.
Right from your neck.
Yep. Cut the jugular, and I knew. This is bad. I've got maybe 2 or 3 minutes here. And I really was like, holy shit, I'm dying. I am dying right now. So mentally, I prepared for death. And this is where the PTSD comes in. And and this is kind of an important story going forward on the journey that, we can talk about with me. So I'm preparing for death. Like Terry Gregson was referee. His eyes are big. Players are looking at me. Everybody's looking at me, and I'm going, I'm fucked. I am. So when you prepare for death, certain things go through your mind. You pray, or I prayed, and I thought, man, I've got 2 minutes to repent. That's not long enough. I need a couple hours here. And so the game was on TV back then, satellite and that, and I knew my mom was watching the game, and I thought, oh shit, I got to get off the ice. I do not want her to see her son die on TV. How fucked would that be?
Yeah.
So I got up. Jim Pizzatelli, our medical trainer, came to me. I'm sure you guys seen the video. He was awesome. A lot of people don't know that he was a Vietnam medic.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay, you think about this for a second. How many people are trained for that?
Not many.
He'd seen it before. So there was a lot of God shots in here. Had I been at the other end of the ice and not by the end where the exit in our dressing room is, I probably wouldn't have made it. Jim Pizzatelli, being a medic, probably wouldn't have made it with another guy. He's got to save my life in front of 18,000 people in a TV audience. Calm. So I get in the medical room. I told Rip Simone, I'd only been traded there like 3 weeks before, so I didn't know. Yeah. But goalies always get close with equipment guys. I don't know why. And Rip Simonic is just a freaking great guy. And I said, Rip, come here, hold my hand. I'm dying. And I told another trainer, I said, call my mom, tell her I love her. Because we talked about my mom and the closeness and the bond. So I'm totally preparing for death is my point. Well, long story short, I go to the hospital. They saved my life. Next day I did a press conference. Because there was people calling. People are sick. People are calling saying, oh, I'm his sister. I'm his aunt. It's media trying to get in into the hospital. Yeah. People were trying to get in there. So hospital administrator came to me and said, hey, Clint, maybe we should just do a press conference and get this done. I said, whatever it takes, because I'm tired of this shit. And
probably early for that.
Well, I did the
one day.
I did a press conference, and I was pretty emotional because what I've been through, and then I was I wanted to go see the cancer kids.
Yeah,
I lived.
Yeah,
I survived, but I want to see the cancer kids because they don't know, right? They're
maybe if you can lift their spirits a little bit, you're saying? Or...
Yeah, because in Buffalo, the Sabres are freaking gods. You know? Oh, you got the goalie of the Sabres, and I thought, yeah. And I don't know. I don't even know why I thought. I was very emotional and so grateful that I was alive. And then I thought about those kids, and they don't know yet. They're fighting. So I went and saw them. And then the administrator said, can we do a second press conference? And I said, all right. So all this trauma is so fresh, and we don't know PTSD back then. We don't know nothing. And one of the, people ask me, do you regret coming back as quick as you did, like in 10 days? And I said, no. That's how it's brought up. You get bucked off a horse, you get goddamn back on it, face your fear, right? Get over it. And teach that horse too. But I wish counseling was offered, and I never thought of it either. I had no And when Richard Zednick cut his jugular vein in 2008, I heard, and I was so grateful that everybody was offered counseling, teammates, coaches, anybody that was directly involved was offered counseling. No, I did it all on my own, and that's the way it was. But that second press conference, I lost it. I bawled my eyes out. I just fucking drained emotionally.
Your body was probably ready to come back and play, but it's your mind where like, okay, I could go back and play goalie right now, but even if I don't realize what I've gone through, my mind isn't ready to be back playing hockey yet. Like, you're not over what had happened, and no one else would have been either. So it is weird that even then somebody wouldn't have been just take another week, take another 3 weeks.
Oh, no, Wits. The doctors were telling me, do not do this. You can't come back. Number one, you've lost a third of your body's blood. You're weak.
It takes time to regenerate.
Yeah,
right?
you gotta. Yeah, you know what it's like to be a pro athlete. Yeah. You know, and another doctor said, maybe you what was I think I was 27 or something. Maybe you should retire. And I'm like, fuck that. I ain't fucking retiring. I still got some years. But they did. I was totally told to not come back for that season. It was March 22nd. Back then, we didn't play till fucking August. But we were in playoffs 2 weeks later, I think, and I wanted to get back for playoffs. I had to prove a lot to the media, to the coaches, to management, because all this shit was being written. Oh, he'll never be the same.
He's done.
He'll never be the same goalie. He's done.
So that was probably the most insulting thing about it all, is the fact that you're willing to come back so quick and put your body on the line, and you wanted to be back, and all of a sudden all these people are writing you off.
Yeah.
Now, did the impact of that injury and everything that went with it, did it amplify everything that was going on before, or did it maybe give you a new perspective on everything? Where maybe
Biz, great question. So I had so much. I became a hero in Buffalo. I mean, that's a blue collar sports team.
Right.
They love guys that are hardworking, gritty, courageous, no talent. I fit it all. I fit it all. And I really became like, I'm serious, a hero. Like when they, I think it was a couple of days after I got out of the hospital, PR guy comes and says, Clint, can you just wave to the fans? We're getting all this, stuff from the fans. How's Clint? And so, middle of the game, I'm in a suit. I got a big old freaking bandage on my neck, and they whistle. They open the Zamboni doors, and I had to stand and wave to the crowd. They stood and cheered. I almost collapsed. I was shaking so bad, and now I'm pretty weak from loss of blood, and I'm like, holy.
Look like RA after a road trip.
He doesn't look so good even now. Never mind.
We're at the end of one.
Okay, well, I don't even want to see that.
Yeah, this is the end of the road trip.
But and so I got through that season. It's funny because I did a book signing in Buffalo. I don't know, 7 years ago, 5 years ago, and I was asked. My wife asked me. She was with me. This is number 8, and and she's never been to Buffalo. She goes, "What's Buffalo like?" I said, big, another American city, but the people are freaking awesome.
Amazing.
They're freaking awesome. Do never say New York as New York, because they are the very humble kind. Anyways, and she wasn't there 2 hours ago. Oh my God, these people are so fantastic. But I have, I'm still a freaking hero there. 35 years after this. And there's a band in Buffalo, New York called Malarchuk. And they're fucking horseshit.
Yeah.
No, seriously. There's a band called Malarchuk.
So did the reciprocation of all that love, like that was probably the first time at your pro career where you felt like you were kind of
because I was insecure. I was like you guys. We worked for every little bit of ice time and that. That's like I went, whoa, this is kind of cool. But I was playing the best hockey of my life. I got traded from Washington to Buffalo, and I was on fire. I mean, I feel like things were hitting me that I normally like. Shit, I can't stop that puck. You know,
Oh, that one was going in.
yeah, no kidding. Especially on me. You know, like 5-hole. Holy crap! I closed my 5-hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that happened, and so like they were not going to make the playoffs. Everything was just like it's weird to describe. Like I got them in the playoffs, and then that happened, and then I'm a hero, and I got through the season like with this adrenaline, and it was the next season that my life changed 100%. Even going into training camp, and I came back to prove everybody wrong, there were still the questions in the media. Will he be the, you're fucking media now, you asshole.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, I thought I already did that. I proved it. But they were right. That season, I started to have panic attacks, nightmares. I'd wake straight up in bed, grabbing my neck, sweating and grabbing my neck. I was like, in the movies when you see that shit doesn't happen. I was like Brad Pitt, except way better looking, grabbing my neck and going.
Like you think you're in the moment again.
They were so vivid. Yeah. I'm seeing the blood and the skate and so I'm like, I can't sleep. I just won't sleep. Good solution. So I'd sit in a chair instead of going to bed, and I'd, do the airplane thing, kind of nod off, but I wouldn't go into a REM sleep. So I was 10, 12 days with that type of no sleep.
Jesus.
My OCD, I could hardly leave the house to go to practice. Like you Biz, you kind of touched on it. So with trauma, yes, you're predisposed, which I was, to everything. When trauma happens, that's what happened to me. Everything will explode and magnify. So now that's what's happening to me. And I remember panic attacks, nightmares, the OCD, and not sleeping. And we had a Super Bowl party at Pat LaFontaine's house, our captain. And I'm a mess. And no one knows. I'm doing this all by myself.
Yeah, you're just...
I'm doing it all by myself.
Pushing it down.
Are you drinking?
No.
That's good.
But I will.
Yeah.
Which is bad.
Yeah.
So we go there. I no one knows. I freaking slipped out after about 30 minutes. And I went home. I don't know what's going on. I think I'm going crazy, right? And sleep deprivation will really fuck you up. So I go home, and I was playing with a broken thumb. We did shit like that back then. In fact, there's a picture of me bleeding out, and I got a cast on my arm. And you guys aren't, I'm a different era, but you two pricks are pretty tough.
Not like that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even
not
want
like
to
that.
go there right now.
Really?
Not like that.
Maybe
Really?
Biz.
Not like that.
Anyway.
But
Anyways, so I get home. I got these painkillers, which I wasn't taking. Do not drink with alcohol. Will make you drowsy. I think, fucking A. So I took about 5 or 6 and drained a bottle of scotch. Now I'm drinking. Back to your question. Now I'm drinking
taking pills.
So I wake up in Buffalo General. No, it wasn't Buffalo. At a hospital in Buffalo.
No shit.
And my heart had stopped. And they had to revive me and everything. And they thought possible suicide. And I told them, no, that comes later.
Who had called the paramedics? Like if you were just alone in your apartment, did you end up?
No, I had a girlfriend.
Okay.
And she actually revived me.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I'm talking to the hospital shrink, and he goes, well, questions. And so I told him everything. And I've never told anybody all this stuff, even from a kid, and so I get diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder, panic attacks, basically mental illness. No PTSD was brought up, because back then that wasn't a set of words. And so I'm like, in one way, like relieved because I'm not going crazy. But in the other way, I'm like, oh shit, now what? And it went public. And,
Yeah, what if the team finds out?
Well, the team did find out, of course. They had to tell the players and everything. And so then it was a journey of doctors, therapists, medications, and nothing fucking worked. Now, we're talking years ago. Thank God we've come a long ways with this. Nothing worked. And
makes you want to quit, right? Makes you want to.
It was hockey's my love, my passion.
Not even hockey, just like trying to get better. You're like, nothing's working. Like, this is.
Yeah, I went through that. So they put me on a drug called Haldol, which is a highly sedative drug for schizophrenia. Highly sedative. And I'm playing in the NHL as a goalie. Fuck, I was horrible. Horrible.
All right, check.
My freaking reflexes are freaking slowed down, which as a goalie, you need that shit, right? Like more than anything. And so I get sent to the minors. And again, I'm devastated, yet don't give a shit because I'm so mentally ill, yet hockey was my life and my love. So I get to the minors. First game in the minors, I let in 4 goals on 6 shots. And Biz, you could have fucking scored on me then. And I get pulled off the first period and I put a towel over my head and I'm just crying the whole game. I went to our coach after the game, Rick Dudley. Great guy, great friend. Real top-notch guy. So glad he got a ring finally. And I said, Rick, I'm done. I can't. He goes, what? It's one game. You'll be back in the NHL. His conditioning stint. And I'm like, no. I told him everything. And he got me into this world-renowned specialist. And this is maybe how God works. I get sent to the frickin' minors, and I get the guru of mental illness on OCD. And he got me on some meds that I've been trying different ones for 2.5 years. Boom, 6 weeks, I was back. In fact, after 6 weeks and 9 weeks, my obsessive compulsive disorder left. And I was like,
what city was this in?
San Diego.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, is this what it feels like to be normal? I said that. Is this what it feels like to be normal? Because I had no gauge of what normal was. Because I'd struggled as a kid even.
What were the exercises in which was helping you get over this, like from a natural perspective? Obviously, there was dialogue involved, but nothing? Do you just felt just a pure relief that you...
It was all medication. All medication.
So where did that lead from then? Like, are you thinking I can get back to the NHL now? I feel normal. I want to play hockey again. My OCD's gone, but my game's not quite what it was.
My game
back?
came back. Like,
wow.
Yeah. My mental health, everything came back. So Boston came calling. And, I finished the year in San Diego. Then I went to Vegas in the IHL. Expansions year for them and everything, and I signed with them, $40,000, and I was freaking on fire. So Boston Bruins said, hey, they offered me a contract, and I was so fresh out of all this that I've been through. I was doing good in Vegas. I was a pillar of the community. I was on the chairman of the board of the Children's Hospital. I was going through, I think, my 10th divorce, and you know, but life was good. And I said, I'm in a good, safe place.
No way.
Yeah, and I didn't go back. I've been there, done that. I was afraid to go back to that pressure that we talk about.
You were content.
Yep.
Was that the first time in your life you ever felt like you were actually content?
Yep.
How old were you?
With hockey, I was probably 33.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Who did you finally reach out to talk to? Who was that first person? Like, I know the guy, the medication.
Rick Dudley, I'll tell you, for the younger people, research this guy. He's been a GM, assistant GM. I always felt bad, and the guys that are in Rick's circle, it's funny because he built the Chicago Blackhawks before they won the cup, and then he leaves Ottawa when they went to he builds, and then he just gets bored. He built, and finally with Florida he's got a ring. But Rick is a very compassionate guy, another guy, I don't want to flip on you guys too much, but you guys won't even notice. You fucking jackasses. I met Tony Granato reached out to me, and he said he just beat cancer. So now he's trying to do documentaries to inspire people that have been through that. He said, Clint, I want to do a documentary with you about, helping people, give them hope and everything. I didn't know Tony. I mean, he scored on me a bunch and I played against him. But so he came down and we spent a week together. I'll tell you one thing. That's a guy you need to get on this show.
We did, right?
We had him.
We've had him on.
Oh, you have?
Exceptional human being.
Awesome guy.
He's a heart and soul, caring man. And I had a visit with him today. He's in town here in Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, it's amazing that people, the perception of us assholes, tough, mean, rugged, and all that, we're kittens.
Yeah, we are.
We are kittens. There's a lot of really, really good hockey players that would give their shirt off their back, literally.
When the career came to an end and you were done playing, were you ready for that?
The body.
Body shut down.
Yeah, well, the knees were freaking, aching and back but I was very lucky because I went right from as a player into assistant coach and assistant GM in Vegas to and then I ended up being the head coach here. So I got it lucky because a lot of guys, the transition is hard. Like, what do I do now?
Right.
And were you worried that the OCD may come back once you were done?
Oh, yeah. I always had the fear. Yep. And that's what happened. I went 15 years just taking this pill, thinking this is all I have to do. And now I'm into coaching and I'm moving around and I'm thinking, as long as I do this, I'm going to feel great the rest of my life. Well, no.
Came back?
Well, because my body got immune to the medication and I wasn't keeping in touch with my psychiatrist. Team doctor, hey, I need this prescription renewed, and they would renew it. And so I just thought I was golden, and it came back. Yeah, and that's what led up to my diagnosis of with PTSD. And I know you want to ask the hard question, which I'll do it for you. So I'm starting to spiral. Richard Zednik cut his jugular vein, right?
Oh,
not reminded me. Now I'm goalie coach with Columbus, so I'm very media accessible. Oh, Clint, interviews, and and I don't know, my meds aren't working. I know I'm not feeling as good as I should, and then I turn to the bottle because there's a huge correlation between mental illness and addiction. And I'll tell you why. Because when you feel anxious, have a couple of beers.
Smoke a joint.
Yeah. Feel depressed. It works. And it's like that. But the problem is what 2 beers would do. I was drinking, 25, 30 beers a day just to get through a day. Now, mind you, that's American beer and I'm Canadian, so it's like horse piss, right? But you know where I'm going. And then now you got the 2 problems. And that's when I'm a mess. I'm just a freaking mess. I spiraled. I'm drinking to kill the pain. And
are you a little out to lunch in Columbus as goalie coach? Are you realizing you're not doing the job?
No, because
no.
Not really, because back then I wasn't full time. Back then they had consultants, so I go for 2 weeks, come back for 2 weeks, and so now I'm getting troubled. I got in trouble. I got thrown in jail for fighting, a couple of bar brawls, stuff like that. So the cops in small town where I live, they know me, but they also know I'm a good guy because I've done some stuff for them in their CIT training, crisis intervention training. So everybody's on the lookout for me. And so, I got arrested and then I got thrown in a mental hospital and locked down and all that stuff. And, so one day I was up all night, drinking, just killing pain. And morning came, and I had, you know, I'm on a ranch, so I'm shooting shit and targets and just trying to get out of my head. And then I took the gun and put it to me, and I didn't even know there was a bullet in it. You know, it was like, I don't think it's loaded. What if it is? What if it's not? Boom. Yeah.
Shot yourself in the head.
Yeah. Yeah.
When did you realize, like, what happened there? Who helped you?
Well, you know, this is probably why I like fighting, because I don't feel pain, because the bullet didn't penetrate my brain. It got stuck in my skull, and I'm conscious, and I'm bleeding profusely, and my wife.
Like, how am I alive?
I'm like, yeah, shouldn't I pass out first and then die, or do I die and then? You know, I'm like, what's wrong here? And so my wife called 911, the cops, everybody. The guns are out because they don't know it's a gun incident, and I'm like, fuck you guys, you know, fuck off, get off my property, you know. Instead of going, you know what I mean? I should be like, oh my God, I just shot myself and help me. No, I'm telling them to fuck off. I said, I've stitched my chin before because I work on animals. I know how to do stitches. And I've stitched my chin before, and I thought, I'll stitch it. I don't need you paramedics. I don't need you. Get you cops, put your guns away and get off my property. So anyways, they got me in an ambulance. They took me to the local hospital in town, and then they helicoptered me to Reno. And I told my wife, I said, you tell them. So I'm total conscious, right? I'm thinking, you tell them it was an accident. I was stepping through a fence and the gun kind of tilted and went off. It was an accident. Don't tell them I fucking shot myself, because I will never get an NHL job again. You know, so I'm thinking. And yeah. So I was they put me in a coma. They didn't remove the bullet. And
Bullet's still in there?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's then I went to treatment, and that's where my journey of healing began. With the PTSD. They say, you got PTSD. And they were talking way back when this happened, my neck. And I'm like, no, I came back. I was a fucking hero. I was insulted, right? I said, that's a military thing. You know, I came back. Buffalo loves me, you know, that arrogant
Athlete.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I'm tough. And yeah, so 2 months in there, I'm angry and I'm mean and I'm pissed off. I claimed a lot of my shit, but I wasn't claiming the PTSD. No way. And they gave me a book to read. They were. I think they didn't know what the fuck to do with me.
You're being stubborn,
I was mean.
Seen it before.
I almost threw a guy out the window. You know, I was just angry. You know, a guy would piss me off, and I said, because a lot of people come in. I didn't know this at the time. People are coming off shit and drugs or whatever, and they'll be talking, and this is part of a PTSD symptom. I just go like, will you shut the up already? And he wouldn't. And I said, all right. And I fucking opened the window. We're on the second floor. I said, you shut up or you're out the window. You know, I'm mad. I'm really an angry man. So I'm pretty sick and fucked up too, right? And so
any feeling sorry for yourself, or more just anger? Because I would imagine there'd be a little bit. I mean, your neck and everything you had as a child. I felt bad for you. So
it was
that's
just
great.
anger. It was all anger.
Yeah.
Pure anger. And they give me the book, and I love animals. And I'm not going to read this book. Oh, there's a chapter on animals and how people process trauma, or animals process trauma. And this is going to go back to the athletic and the societal thing of where we're tough. We push through the message that, you know, don't cry, never, you know. And so the cheetah and the gazelle, fight, flight, and freeze. Okay, I never heard of freeze. And cheetah chasing gazelle. Cheetah catches gazelle, drags gazelle to the ditch, goes and gets the cubs to come eat, thinking the cheetah was, or the gazelle was dead, but the gazelle wasn't dead. It froze, fooled the cheetah. But how the animal processed trauma, when the cheetah was gone, the gazelle got up and it just shook every limb one by one, and then the whole body violently. Processed trauma and took off. So I'm thinking about that. I never shook. I never cried. I never, did anything really. And then my wife is coming to visit me about 4 days later. It's about a 4-hour drive to where I was in treatment. And she got an fender bender coming through the mountains on an icy hill. And she was so proud. She's like, oh, my God, I held it together. I was, really proud. Cops came. I filled out a little report. But then her whole demeanor changed. This goes back to our thinking of being tough. And she was so disappointed in herself. She goes, I got in the car and I just started to shake. And then I cried. And I'm like, the fucking gazelle. And I'm jumping around. I'm going, and she's like, you're on medication here, aren't you? She was like, holy fuck, what got into you? And it all clicked that we need to process trauma. And I didn't. She did. And then I went to work. I said, okay, I got this PTSD thing.
Who was the first person or the most important person with the ranch and getting you involved in this, and what's happened since, and realizing how many other people you could help?
Yeah, it seemed to have sparked something in you. And we're going to talk about the ranch and things that you do now, and I'm sure that helps you to release, some of the things maybe you might even still be doing.
Okay, God spared me for those that are still suffering. I should be dead. I really should. I mean, I OD'd and, my heart stopped, cut my freaking neck. I shot myself 3 times. I should be dead. So I'm here for a reason, and it's to help others. So after my book came out, people were calling, the players, ex-players, wives of ex-players, and media. I started to public speak, and so I just got out there. And then Mark Pavlich, played with Barry Beck and with the Rangers back then. They became pretty close. And then Mark had a similar story, some mental stuff going on. He got in some trouble. He beat up a neighbor. And I don't know that I beat up a neighbor, but I beat up a lot of people at one time in town. So I do understand the anger, the anger where we're just freaking crazy. And he got in trouble. He was facing, possible prison time. And they put him in a mental institute, a lockdown, secure one. And I've been there too. And Barry reached out. He was trying to rally some players. And somehow he got a hold of me, and I didn't know Barry. So I started to talk to Mark and Mark's sister. And I really related to Mark because these mental hospitals, Mark and I had issues, whatever. But some of these people are very it's like the movies, they're schizophrenic, they're running around naked and stuff. That was not me, and that was not Mark. And he hated it there. So I went to work trying to get him out. He had a lawyer, and I was talking to his lawyer and said, we got to, I had to talk to the DA and all this. And they said, so anyway, it's kind of cool because I had this country singer kind of camping at my place because he has bipolar. And he comes, every time he gets fucked up, he comes and shows up at my place and chills out, and he's fine. And I came walking out of the bar, and I was on the phone, and he said, what's wrong? I said, well, I got this guy. And I kind of told him the story. He says, call her. I said, who's her? So I called her, and she had this place. It was a veterans facility in Minnesota. And I said, I got this guy, you told her. She said, I'll pick him up. So let's get to work on it. Let's get him released. So anyways, talking to lawyers and everything, we got Mark released and into not our facility then, her facility. And her facility is called the Eagles Healing Nest. And veterans with PTSD and disabilities and 70 veterans. Some would be homeless if it wasn't for this place. So they had an empty building that needed big renovations. So that's how we what about this building? We could do this for athletes, former athletes, hockey players, current hockey player, whatever. And so it kind of evolved, and we formed a board, and our board, I tell you what, and we're all volunteers. We have one paid employee, and he's the director that is there. And we're all private. We raise funds privately, donations. And so far we've had, we've renovated the building. We've had a lot of hockey. Most of our guys, and I obviously can't say names. We've had, they're former NHLer, ECHL, NCAA. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be an NHL or former NHL player. It's hockey, all right? Athlete team. We'll take a baseball guy. We take veterans. Some of our beds have veterans in it because they get over.
What's the name of your place that you?
It's called the Ranch Teammates for Life.
And you kind of developed that concept from that Eagle's Nest.
Well, Barry, when Mark, obviously he died by suicide, and he told Barry, I want you to somehow help people and carry this on. And that inspired Barry to call people, get people like me involved. And so Mark, I think, was the idea of the ranch, the word ranch, I think. And it's called the Ranch Teammates for Life. And it was all inspired by Mark and Barry Beck. And I really think Jean, Mark's sister, she was the one that really drove and started to, get people, let's do this.
And to gain honor him a little bit.
Yeah, and also to honor him. So is it a place where when they go there, it's tranquil, they work with the animals?
Okay, this is what's cool. I've been to treatment. Treatment it's good. I'm not knocking treatment, but I don't think it's right when they take your fucking cell phone away and you want to call your kids. Something just doesn't seem right about that. And maybe they got good reason. I don't know. But to me, that drove me freaking nuts. Just to be disconnected from friends and family and you're stuck in there all by yourself. I'm sure there's a reason, but we don't do that. We're on 124 acres. It's beautiful. You get your own room. Very, very small. But at least when I was in treatment, man, I was in with 6 guys in one room.
Need some privacy.
It is. You're right. It's tranquil. It is. It's green. I mean, it's beautiful. There's freedom. The therapies, but a lot of our healing. Here's what I will say. I'm the first contact. When a family, let's say a hockey player, a hockey wife, or husband, my wife needs treatment, or whoever I'm the one that says, okay, here's the deal, and I ask the questions. What's the deal? What are you going through? Get the information. Make sure it's a fit that we can help them. And I say, we've had people that just because it's a commitment, like it's scary shit. It is fucking scary shit to go to a place. And you don't know what to expect. That is freaking courageous to do, just to make the phone call. And I think I'm good at it, saying this is what it is. If you want treatment, no cell phone, no computer, semi-prison,
Yeah.
But we're not like that. So my point is that I ask them to come try. You can leave anytime. You can leave in a day. Give it a week, maybe. Just get adjusted in that. Every person, I think, has stayed a minimum of 3 months. They don't want to leave because they're healing. They're healing. And at first, they're thinking, okay, I'm going to go give it a week. I'll give it 2 weeks, maybe a month. And I could be wrong, but I think everybody stayed at least a minimum of 3 months.
Is that within the therapy part of it? Is that similar to the program where you're sharing in front of others, or is that all private?
Yeah, there's group therapy, there's one-on-one and everything. But I think the biggest healing, this is my own personal observation and watching, and I fly up there and I know everybody that I know so many of the veterans that are there at the nest and that, and I call them, they call me. I think it's a lot of the peer-to-peer.
Yeah.
That Witter
having something in common.
Exactly. You got the hockey in common. You understand that pressure we talked about, whatever, all that stuff. But you also got this other thing. I'm fucked up, or I'm drinking too much, or I'm doing drugs,
Like you might know how I feel, nobody else does.
Right,
But I know
exactly.
you actually do.
Exactly.
What an incredible thing, because to go through what you went through and then just finally, or not finally, that's the wrong word, but be like, all right, I'm going to help others. It's an incredible story. I guess I'm most curious, and it seems like I know the answer, but how are you doing now? How do you feel now? Are there still tough days?
I've had kind of a dip. You got to be honest with people. I'm not fucking great right now.
Yeah.
And all my board members know it. Like, this is hard for me to come to Vegas.
I hope maybe that that being with us might help a little, sharing it. I know.
It absolutely helps. But I had to go off all my meds because I don't. I've kind of, and this is probably going to be the rest of my life. Yeah, I do great and everything. So, I'm doing electronic magnetic brain pulsating therapy, and they've had great success with it, with all sorts of things like PTSD, anxiety, depression, trauma, addiction, all these things. So, but the thing is, I kind of had to wean off my meds, and so I'm a little bit,
roller coaster.
Yeah, a little bit with that. But the thing is, I don't wake up at after 2 hours of sleep in a panic attack. So my anxiety is decreased. I'm going to the Epic Brain Center in Reno, and it's working. And I think I would like to get them involved with the ranch. Say we need to get this on their heads, fixing them. So it's a journey. It's a journey.
Well, we appreciate you for coming down and like sharing all this. This is huge, and obviously we like to have a lot of laughs on our podcast.
Right.
These types of conversations are very important for our listeners.
Yeah.
And we sometimes have them, maybe not to this deep of a level. We appreciate you for coming by and being so vulnerable, and we'd love to obviously get you on again. And
we'll do the funny stuff.
Well, we'll have some more fun. But
I'd love to also get the info of the ranch out to our listeners.
Yeah.
So there are people that would want to help.
So when this episode does drop, RA and our social team will reinforce everything and push it out through our channels. But if you do have something to read off of there,
like you guys said, you'd take care of that. Like the Ranch Teammates for Life, go on our website, donate. Go on the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame. Go on the Hall of Honor or whatever it's called. Honor
donate.
somebody. But you guys will put that. You guys told me before the show. You guys will take care of that stuff. I want to come on again because I heard Glenn Healy, on here.
He's funny guy.
And he I've got Keenan stories too. But here's a quick hockey story. Glenn has done a remarkable job,
unreal,
fantastic job for us. And before him was Mark Napier. And I played with Mark, and he is a fantastic human being. You know why he wore number 65? Because he was a foundation for cystic fibrosis, and he knew a kid that couldn't really speak, and the kid would say 65 roses, so he wore number 65. But we had a kid, and you guys will like this. I'll make it quick. Mike Hartman. It's the last game of the season, and you know how management is. If he played that game, he would have flipped into a one-way contract rather than a two-way. And he was scratched. We found out, and Mark in warm-ups pulled his groin.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, isn't that great?
That's great.
That's us guys. That's hockey guys. But it was funny. Mark there was awards that night. It was a fan appreciate last game of the season. So Mark was getting a trophy, probably for public service, community service, and he had to skate out. He kept his gear on, and he comes from the locker room and he's skating out with a limp because he apparently was telling the manager, "Oh, I'm hurting." And got his award, and as players, we all knew he was faking
Bullshit.
it. He was faking it. But isn't that cool that he did that for a guy to get him a one-way rather than a two-way?
That's boys taking care of the boys.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And that's exactly what you're doing now. So once again, we thank you for coming down, and you're a special human being, and a testament to you helping out others.
Well, thank you guys. You guys rock. I'd love to come on. I got a list of funny stories.
We'll get you on again.
you,
We'll
Clint.
go part 2.
before we go any farther, have to talk to you about G4. We got a shoe launch alert. Everyone's favorite golf destination, G4, is dropping their latest G18 golf shoe. Backed by research for optimal performance and unbeatable comfort, the new G18 keeps your game and style on point. And why not win it both at the same time? It's ultra modern, unique, and features 3 simultaneous levels of traction to keep you extra stable on all types of terrain. And in golf, I don't do it enough. You got to use the ground. You got to use the ground to create speed and torque, and that's what the G18 does for you with G4. So check out the G18 golf shoe and plenty of other options, beautiful styles right now at G4. And don't forget, g4.com/chiclets. That's GFORE.com/chiclets for 10% off your first order. Thank you so much to Clint Malarchuk. Had a blast talking to him and learning his story. So hopefully you all enjoyed that. We got some other news. Braden Schneider re-signed with the New York Rangers. He's got a $2.2 million cap hit. I believe it's for 2 years. I think I have that right. But I like that kid's game. Righty defenseman. He's physical. He can skate. I think he kind of continues to move up the lineup. Maybe as Trouba moves down, Schneider moves up. So good signing there. Biz, Alex Meruelo is forever done with the NHL. I believe that he's signed over, and Bill Daly mentioned all the paperwork's done, that he no longer will ever have the Coyotes back in Scottsdale. I didn't know your feelings on that.
Yeah, so I think we touched on, I was a little bit more fired up when it originally happened, when the sale ended up going down. I was happy for Ryan Smith in Utah, and the fact that these players were going to go to an ownership group that really cared and put resources and you know, the way that you should treat a pro team. And I don't think that family really understood the pro sports element, that there's emotions and people involved. It was treated too much from a business standpoint, like these people were like machinery, and you know, eventually it feathered away, right? And I know that it was a good business deal for him, where he ended up making about $450 million, maybe 400 out the door. I've repeatedly said they were always nice and kind to me. But at the end of the day, it was not the way that you operate a professional sports team. And there was a lot of unbelievable people that were working for the Coyotes organization who kind of got put through the ringer a little bit. So it still sucks that they've lost their team. I have seen a couple tweets, including JJ Watt, who's extremely interested in trying to bring back a team to the desert and forming some type of ownership group. So I believe in the future that all the big dogs from around the area will find a way to get together with some Billy Goat and bring back the Arizona Coyotes or Phoenix Coyotes. I don't know what name they're going to want to take when they bring it back, but hockey belongs in the desert, and it's probably for the best that he just takes his money and runs.
Yeah, he's more like an owner of like the Flint Tropics. Like, let's be honest. Like, if that guy's an owner of a sports team, it's a low level minor league franchise somewhere. So goodbye to him. Biz, I don't know if you caught any of the soccer action about basically the last month or at least 3 weeks. The Copa America has been going on, which is like U.S., Canada, and then Argentina ended up winning it, Colombia. But on the European side, the Euro, these tournaments, I think the Euro's every 4 years. And, you know, then 2 years later, it's the World Cup every 4 years. So it's always every 2 years. But England lost in a heartbreaker to Spain. England had kind of been like miraculously moving on in this tournament with late goals and late heroics. And they ran into Spain, who was the best team in the tournament the entire time. Dude, they had this kid. I think it's Lamine Yamal. I may be saying that incorrectly. Biz, he was dominating the tournament. He's 16 years old.
No.
He turned 17, I think, yesterday, or the day before the championship of the Euro. And he's not just out there, like, he's starting, creating, scoring, assists. Like, I think we might be watching the next Lionel Messi. Like, it's actually crazy. I kept watching the kid. He's dynamic. He's fast. He made the English goalie yesterday made some crazy saves on him. Like, I was like, I think we're watching history in the making, almost like a Connor McDavid coming up, like a different generational type talent. So incredible to see him. Spain ends up getting the win. Awesome game. But on the other side, Argentina played Colombia in the final last night at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. The game was delayed. Dude, these people, They overrun the security. They were climbing through. I saw a tweet. They were like Andy Dufresne climbing through the shit to get out of Shawshank prison just to get in the game. I don't know what happened, and people were dogging Hard Rock. I'm like, no. Hard Rock's had concerts, NFL. I think it was on the CONCACAF, whatever the federation, like UEFA runs the Euro, and I don't know what runs the Copa America. But these people weren't prepared, Biz, and these soccer lunatics. You know what these people
lunatics.
Are like. They're nuts. They were climbing in over the rafters. It was bizarre to see. The game was delayed. I don't know how many people ended up in the stadium.
Well, wasn't it the game before that in the semifinals where players were up there chucking? It was like the something at the Palace, they called it. Like when Ron Artest.
Yeah, I don't know if that was Uruguay. That might have been Uruguay fighting fans. I mean, soccer, you better come prepared. I mean, Green Street Hooligans, great movie if anyone wants to watch a good movie about soccer hooligans. That takes place in England. But I couldn't believe this stadium, an NFL stadium, is being overrun by raging lunatic soccer fans, bull rushing over little, like, what are the people called who take ushers? Ushers are just getting bull rushed over just to get a chance to see Messi in Argentina and Colombia fans. So Messi got hurt. He was bawling, crying. He hurt his ankle. Then they showed his ankle.
Well, my understanding is that they were short staffed because they had a lot of security in Pennsylvania. They must have just been sleeping on the job though. They didn't see the guy in the crowd with a fucking rifle ready to try to take the president's head off. What is happening?
One of the craziest.
What is happening?
One of the saddest things. I mean, and I go into the man who lost his life, dude. He dove on his wife and daughter. I think he's around 50 years old. Yeah, dude. And his wife is. And then you see people. This is fake Trump state. It's like. The guy just lost his life going to a rally for a past and possibly future president. That was wild. And I've seen some tweets. I think Trumpet. I think he moved his head like a fifth
Matrix.
of an inch, and it caught him in the ear. And then he stands up. And I don't care how you lean politically. If you don't think Donald Trump with blood coming down his cheek with his fist in the air with the American flag behind him is not one of the most incredible pictures I've ever seen. I think Portnoy tweeted, election's over. He wins. Like the guy got up. The guy stood up and then he's like, where are my shoes? Let me get my shoes. And he's telling people to fight. But more than anything, when I said sad, like hate a politician, hate whoever you want. But when it turns into political violence and assassination attempts, that's third world country shit. That is fucking disgusting. And it's like, obviously, people are just so, they hate Trump so much. And there's been rhetoric on both sides of like not peaceful things, right? Like, you know, you hear Trump's the enemy. It's just, there's just so much shit. And I'm not trying to get political, but I don't care. I will sit there and say that the former president with blood gushing down his face, screaming, fight to his supporters who have just seen bullets flying around. And yeah, the Secret Service, I assume there's going to probably be some heads that roll considering he was.
You think they're going to have a team meeting? Closed door meeting?
There's probably Chiclets had a team meeting postseason. I think the Secret Service might need to be like, hey, there was a sniper 130 yards away in a wide open field. Thank God for the snipers who got him, because that could have been a Las Vegas type shooting incident. I mean, who knows if that guy stops? If he hates Trump, he hates all the people who support him. So a very sad day in American history, I would say. But yeah, I don't know where to go.
I mean, very like well said. I was unaware that so somebody was shot in behind him.
I think it must have been the bullet that went through his ear that killed the guy. He was a firefighter.
That's just like, awful.
It's just tragic. But let's hope Trump comes out and says the Republican convention's going on in Milwaukee, and you kind of hope he comes out and just calls for a little more unity and peace. And no matter how much you can't stand somebody politically, like the whole violence thing is very scary, I would say. So,
that's awful.
Weird end to the show, but that was one of the craziest things I've ever seen the other day.
I don't think we could have just glanced over it or not talked about it. I mean, a president almost got assassinated yesterday. It would have been the second time in the history of the United States.
I don't. There's two, Lincoln and Kennedy. I don't know if there's a third.
Lincoln was assassinated
in a movie theater. John Wilkes Booth.
I mean, that shows you what I know about American politics and history. My apologies.
Buddy. Yeah, and you're a pro wake surfer, so it's like you're so busy. But folks, thank you so much. I hope you enjoy the interviews. I hope you guys had an awesome week, and we'll have a great week right now. Middle of July. Enjoy your summer if you can, and we appreciate you listening as always. We love you, Chiclets fans.
Chiclets TV coming out Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Tune in, baby. Cup final.
Peace.